Good afternoon, Dossers, and welcome to another GRAPPL Weekender here on Friday, the 24th of July, 2026. I'm Benno.
And I'm Gareth.
And we are here. So Gareth nodding his head in the background there. It's got a little bit of the ship party all the time. It's got a little hint of maybe Sting's original WCW music to me, like the dun 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 guitar in the background. I'm wondering if that's what's got you going. Or maybe you're just in a great mood, mate, because you are the freest man in the world with an entire house to himself that I'm told might be spoiled in a couple of hours by a certain someone knocking at your door, mate. But the freedom of Gareth is you got the key to the city or the key to your own house this weekend, mate. So maybe it's that.
Living the absolute dream, mate. I was like trying to calculate when was the last time that I had like a house to myself for a whole week just to like do absolutely nothing. And I reckon it's 2000. So I reckon it's quarter of a century, mate, that I've had a week.
That's a lot of telly to catch up on. That's a lot of films, you know.
I've been trying to make my best efforts to catch up, but yeah, just wild, just living the life of a free man. Just get up, you know, kick the kettle into action, sitting, you know.
Pot noodles on the go.
What's that?
Pot noodles on the go. Pots of tea on the go.
The old sober noodles on the go, definitely. You know,
nice.
I think it took me 2 days to get back into, you know, cereal for tea, that kind of thing. You know, so, you know, get back into that trend and that habit. But yeah, wild. The life of a responsibilityless man. I've been loving it, mate.
Yeah, it's great. You didn't even have to move to Vietnam to do it, mate. So congratulations on doing it on home turf. What is the plan with it? Because again, people who haven't heard the live this week, we'll get into plug mode in a little bit. But Matty did let us know that is it true? Did he just invite himself around? Is that what's happened, mate? And you're getting carty crashed by old Matthew Edwards this evening, mate. Off the Berkey, I'm guessing. You know, maybe just get him out the house.
We said we'd go for a drink, and in my head, I was thinking, like, I should maybe invite him up this way. It'd probably be easier, you know. Alex will be getting back in at about 10 o'clock at night or something like that. Just make sure I'm round, and then. But I'm always too polite. I always think, I don't want to make people, you know, don't make people go out of their way, kind of, you know, for that reason.
Don't worry, it'll be whoever is dropping them off, it'll be their way that they're going out of, mate. Not his. Don't worry about that.
But then, yeah, Matty just threw it in there, you know. Why don't I come across beer? I was like, fucking bonus, right? Too right. So yeah, he's getting here. I think we'll go out for a couple. I'll drag him to that Norseman, the new pub that's opened there. That's got decent beers. But then I said the magic words of just wings. So I think it's back to mine for a few cans, some just wings, and then I imagine we'll probably be throwing some matches on, and then throwing a bit of Seattle sounds on YouTube or something like that. You know, like, you know,
proper middle-aged lads lighted. I love it.
Absolutely.
Cups of teas on the go, all kinds. You'll be making the brews, though, mate. Don't make any mistake about it. Like I can picture it. It's like I was gonna say I was never a student. I just lived in my early 20s like that, with like a bed, and then there was a table at the end with literally a kettle on it. You had your favourite cup that you like to use, and every now and then you might get fancy and throw the noodles on. Toaster, have you moved the toaster to the living room? Actually, that's the biggest test, I'd say, as to whether Garrett's gone all the way back in time to early 20s, Gareth, or not.
Not quite. I was threatening. I was threatening for that to be the move, because those were the glory days.
Divorce on the cards.
Of uni, of just the kettle and the toaster slap banging between me and my housemate Paul's chairs as we just sat and played Pro Evo for like 7 hours or something like that. You know, those were the glory days. But I put on an Instagram story there, and I think the first photo that I put on there was like a photo of the TV remote on like the chair or sofa arm, and like immediate message from Sarah: you could have hoovered the sofa arm. One dog hair that she's managed to spy, like, kind of on there. So yeah, can't be presenting that view to the world, can we? God forbid.
Unbelievable. No, I thought you were going to say your first message you got was from somebody in their early 20s going, "What's that?" on the remote. You just don't really know what it is. Or like a proper telly remote, at least, not for like a little device or something like that. But I love it as well. Like you've got this free week. Obviously, you got Matty coming around tonight. I promise I haven't told him to bug you and record any kind of podcast tonight, but we have kind of elbowed you into both doing this and also be doing Spotlight on Tuesday. And also, I'm told that you might even be doing the Shibata show that's coming up on Sunday, mate. So using that time well. And I didn't even influence you, mate. I just maybe dropped a couple of hints on, the show would just be better if Gareth was on. We all agree with that. All the patrons agree with it. And now, half your spare time is going to be spent podcasting, mate. But that's the way it's supposed to be.
You get in my brain, mate. You drop these little lines in there, butter me up. Flattery gets you everywhere, mate. And then before I knew it, I was 3 minutes into a Shibata Fujita match this morning, and then I was all in. I was like, fucking yes. And then, so I think I've done.
It's very you, to be fair.
I've done 5 of the playlist already, mate. So
nice.
making a big dent in that. So can't wait. Honestly, that first fucking kick to the face from Shibata in that first match, I was like,
proper
fucking
stuff.
T-shirt was nearly off, fucking out in the streets. Like, come on, who wants to go?
Right. It would be a wrong one for you to miss, mate. It's very much up your street, unlike Wrestlicious his last choice already that I think you definitely skipped correctly. But no, like, it screams you. It's boots and trunks, mate. Literally, that's what Shibata is, and I think it's 9 matches of it on the main playlist that Eddie's put together with Sickos, which again has probably got your name written over it. Maybe you can grab that one who's coming round to yours tonight. Maybe get him to watch a couple. You could do Into the Honma match. Maybe that would we'll grab him. But of course, like I say, we are might as well throw the plugs in. We are doing that. I think it should be around 7 o'clock on Sunday for patrons. And obviously, if you're hearing my voice, we are live right now for patrons, which is remain the case for the Weekender, formerly the Weekend Show, and all of our shows. So watch along live. You do have to become a patron. But a couple of people, I did get a couple of messages this week. Maybe missed the memo a couple of weeks ago. You aren't seeing things. The Weekender is now the main GRAPPL podcast that comes in your feed every Friday now, without fail. We get it out every week, which wasn't really happening with Spotlight for a little while there. And if you have missed the announcements, there's a nice little pinned description at the top of the Patreon page which explains it. But in exchange for us making these Weekenders free after we've recorded them and putting them out to everybody, both on YouTube and on the audio feeds, there is a trade-off, which means the Spotlight reviews that you might be used to getting, and might be where you usually hear Garrett's voice, are now Patreon exclusive and are available exclusively to our patrons and also our paid YouTube members as well. It wasn't a decision we took lightly, but it was a decision I think that made a lot of sense, just to get more shows in the free feed and also to continue to give value to our patrons. So that's where that will be next week if you're missing it. I'll probably throw a little quick preview on the main feed, maybe like a 15-20 minute clip or something like that as well. But if you want the entire thing, you will have to become a patron at this point, but it's not all bad news. We do have a nice little discount code that's on offer there. The best discount I'd say we've ever offered to new people, just as a nice little bridge across to join us over in Patreon land. But I would say, Gareth, this week with some of the news we've got to get into, I would say independent media is very important, and also independent fan media is genuinely very important. And we could always do with a little bit of extra support. So if you are going to miss those reviews, please do jump over and join us and help us keep doing what we do. And like I say, Gareth, I've been giving you the credit / blame for the last month or so that this was a plan that you hatched in December of last year. And it took me, like most things, Gareth, it took me 6 or 7 months to go, you know what, that's a really good idea, and then somehow make it into my own idea to justify it to myself and do it. But don't let it be said, mate, that I don't listen to you, but I think it has made sense, and I'm very proud of the shows we've done over the last while as well, not to go too full pluggy, but I think it's really worked to up our game, I'd say, for all the shows we've been doing this month.
Honestly, mate, I think it's been absolutely class. And again, you might feel a bit like, oh, yeah, of course you're going to say that. But even just in this last week, I like the show that you did with Matty and Amplet, the Bash at the Beach. I fucking loved that show as much as like I was pulling my hair out when you got up to the Bret Hart point of that particular show. You know what you're doing.
Oh, I know you're going to be listening, mate. It's absolutely just aimed for you and nobody else. Audience of 100%.
Just poking the bear, absolutely.
Just get you to the Sean podcast for me one day, mate. Jesus, Sean. Me, you, and Hamlet sorted.
But then again, I thought that live that you did with Matty was brilliant. Like, he was a bit.
I really enjoyed that.
Like, he was saying to me, "Oh, he was unsure how good it was." I thought it was fucking brilliant. Like, it just felt like towing that sort of right side of like having that balance back and forward between talking about like AEW, talking about WWE, talking about the different things, and even Matty admitting good things about AEW and bad things about the Fed and things like that. It would just have that nice balance to it there. And talking about balance, talking about nice, and talking about Shawn Michaels. Obviously, the latest Retro been out there, Shawn Michaels edition. He said, I heard you say on one of them shows that you were surprised. You thought we were nice to Shawn, or thought we went in light on him there. Fair men, mate.
I do have half an hour to go though, because I'm worried that's a setup that I listened to the first like hour and a half of, because you just obviously with it being Retro 25, you did a big one, and I've gone, oh yeah, the coast is clear, Sean is safe, and then the last half hour that I didn't listen to while I was at it, it's just you going full booted on old Sean. But no, I trust you, mate. I knew it was going to be good, and it was genuinely to return the favour. It was a class episode of Retro that came out at the weekend as well, which is also free on the Patreon as well. We do give out a lot of free stuff over there as well. But yeah, people haven't checked that out. They need to. And like I say, yeah, Bash at the Beach 98 on Monday was a labour of love as well. Just me and Hamlet had just recorded the Benno and Hamlet, so it was like 5 a.m. by the time we were finished. So that might be why the takes got a little bit spicy. You know Hamlet, he's going to be slaying some of those sacred cows, and yeah, maybe I had a couple of boots in at some grapple favourites as well. But it was funny. I woke up the next day and saw people saying that in the Discord, and I was like, I was so tired, I don't even remember saying that. But it was great because I got to listen back, and I was like, oh no, it's a good show. That it felt new to me. I was like, oh yeah, that Benno one's making some good points there, in amongst some of the terrible points as well. But yeah, there's too much for people to catch up there this week. Loads of stuff on there. And yeah, you're right. The live with Matty, that is the other thing with us putting these out on the free feed. If you do become a patron, you will also get the GRAPPL Patreon lives that do come out. Usually on a Tuesday night. Usually it's me and Matty. Sometimes Gareth will jump in. Sometimes JP will jump in, depending on what kind of news week it is. But like you said, casual 90-minute chats that are on there. I think the patrons are appreciating as well. So another reason to jump over and head towards All In. So maybe take advantage of those discount codes while you can, while they're available. And yeah, you'll get the best in class, I think, AEW spotlight review of AEW Redemption next week as well with Gareth too. So great time to jump over, get Retro, get everything else in there, and also get the Shibata show that's coming up this weekend as well. But there you go, that's enough putting ourselves over, I suppose, Gareth. But maybe we'll do some more at the end. But again, worth stating again, just for anybody who missed the memo. But yeah, jump over if you can. But we do have the normal weekend to get into, which means we've got a lot of news to get into. We've got an AEW Redemption pay-per-view preview to get into. Check the show notes if you want to know when that started. But that also means it's a Tony Khan conference call kind of weekend. I'll be honest, mate, this one's actually a little bit newsworthy for once. Maybe not necessarily the things he said, but at least the subject matters that he got asked about and therefore got brought up and therefore have created discussion are actually quite interesting this time out. As, like I say, he was asked questions by the many members of the other media, not paid media, like we have with WWE. More on that a little bit later. But he was asked about Swerve Strickland's current whereabouts. He was asked about Anna Jay. He was asked about Timello. He was asked about Sammy Guevara. Even MJF, Hangman Page came up as well, and like I say, quite a few little newsworthy things to come out of it, thanks to obviously our friends over at Post Wrestling who've done the write-up on this one. Not sure where we'll start, mate, but on Swerve he did say that he's still on good terms with AEW, which was interesting wording, that he's at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend. It's like, could he not be at the pay-per-view, Tony? Apparently not, but he'll answer more questions about Swerve after Redemption, which might be your cue that maybe he might be turning up at the weekend. Obviously, Sammy Guevara and Timello have been part of the news over there the last week or so, just based around Sammy Guevara changing his Twitter bio. Turns out, unfortunately, the rumours weren't true, mate. He's still with AEW, and it actually never said AEW in his bio. So work the marks there, but according to Tony, Ty, the stories are true with her. She asked for a release from AEW to move on from wrestling, and it looks like he's going to be granting it. He's also asked questions, and I know this one's loads of Gareth, about the potential free agents coming up, and he said he's going to be keeping an eye on the multiple wrestlers available, so maybe he's using that Timello money, mate, to put it to good use on some of the people coming available. And yeah, add a few of the other bits that are usual for a Tony Khan conference call. But yeah, maybe let's start there. Anything to read into Swerve comments? We talked about MJF needing a little bit of time off, and that's been followed up on by the Observer, saying he's got a couple of nagging injuries that might be the reason. Same with Hangman. A nagging injury is actually being given as the reason he was off TV for so long. But yeah, few different newsworthy things in there, maybe before we even get to the stuff he said about Redemption, the pay-per-view, and the overall attendance coming up this weekend. What stands out to you?
It's that wording about Swerve, as far as I kind of never gave any kind of second thought to the idea that there might be some sort of beef or backstage trouble going on there. It felt like a bit kind of just leading into another storyline or something for not being on TV, or for whatever reason, maybe like a slight knock or something like that. But that wording, the fact that you're almost denying that something is, that you're almost like half denying that there has been some bother or something like that, sort of without feeling like that's something that's been like a major thing suddenly makes you think, oh, so there has been us there, But again, that wording about after the weekend does almost make me feel like the lights are going out at some point and Swerve Strickland's going to be in the ring when they come back.
Resolved if there were issues, maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one that sort of jumps out the most. I mean, for the Sammy Guevara thing, like, it just feels really odd. I feel like he's someone who it has been newsworthy in the last week. It feels like when I've gone on Twitter and things, there just seem to be like quite a few references to it. Maybe it looked like it sort of like refreshed some of his social media shows and things like that he does too, and like. But he just seems total afterthought to me when it comes to AEW product now. He just seems like, it's one of the most unimportant people. You could probably list 50 people who feel more important than him on the entire roster across AEW and ROH. So it just feels like a nothing. Like, you forget that he even exists. So, the idea of him not being there is like, well, so what kind of thing? Or the idea of him being there, it feels so what? Because he's just... Yeah, he's like Serpentico or something like that these days, isn't he, really?
Or Jungle Jack with his little comeback video the other week. Honestly, you're right. It was the most newsworthy he's been. But he should have kept the ruse going. And then maybe if he'd have returned that, people still wouldn't have cared. But I mean, I suppose there was smoke to the fire, obviously, with the Time Mello stuff. And fair play to her. Had a good little run in AEW, as seeing a ceiling for herself and wants to go away, be a mum, whatever a reason in this. Like, fair play there. Anna Jay, a little bit hard done by her. She is looking to get out of the company. Apparently, for injury time, they're extending the contract. And we always say it. I don't really like that. It's a murky practice when WWE do. It's the same with AEW. That's probably worth noting. But maybe it says he's got plans for her, like he did for Sammy. But I'm same as you. Like the big names there are the ones that stand out. Like I say, MJF. If reading between the lines, and I'm wondering what you're going to think about Redemption coming up and what you're going to think about Dynamite when we get there later in the show. But reading between the lines, this is a pay-per-view missing a main event, and I feel like MJF was going to be in that main event, and maybe they've just decided to give him a little bit of time to sort out whatever the injury issues are within that are still lingering there. And yeah, apparently MJF was one of the people. I think Tony was saying it was in the Observer as well. It was pushing for the alternative, which is obviously Kevin Knight versus Kenny Omega there. So I guess that explains why he's gone. I don't fully understand why Hangman turned up on Collision a couple of weeks ago and then disappeared again. And even then, I could understand him disappearing again. It was in his hometown, fair enough. He just fancied doing a one-off, while apparently he's dealing with some lingering neck issues. That was news to me this week, that maybe there's more to it with him being away. But, could still recap that on Dynamite the last couple of weeks, Tony, mate. Unless him and, Swerve are both doing something at the pay-per-view and they're trying to keep that quiet, like, overly. I don't know. But, yeah, Swerve is the other big one for me, and just that... even today, I was looking at it going like, surely Swerve could have done something at this pay-per-view. Surely there was a match for him. And it just popped into my head, maybe he could have worked Bobby Lashley. Maybe he could have got his win back from... And my head went last year, and then I dug into it. It was almost 2 years ago now that he lost to Lashley on Lashley's first... I think it was Lashley's first pay-per-view match, or one of his only AEW singles matches, and then he pretty much had tags for 2 years and pretty much won all those tags apart from when it's a multi-person match. But apparently we can't get back around to that. But surely they could have come up with something else for him. I think that's what this again, not getting too deep into the weeds of the pay-per-view, but that's 3 big names in it, missing from like the lineup of the pay-per-view, and it's no wonder the top end feels a little bit light for this pay-per-view. And yeah, some of those explanations I think are better than others. Yeah, and I think the MJF one, like, to me, I think with that character of MJF, I think it kind of almost like makes sense for him to go away when he's almost somebody who, like, sort of shouldn't be on TV all the time. Like when he's the champ, or when he's actually like proper going after the belt, like fine. But I think the type of character that he is, that he's so main event pilled and he's so title associated and things like that. Like, it's good for people to go away sometimes. And then like MJF's somebody who he is almost like better in smaller doses when he is focused and things like that. And you know that if he's put into a situation like been on TV, like often you can take away from other things that's on there, and take away from things that maybe should feel a bit more important, whereas he's so good at putting the focus on himself and things that sometimes it can feel a bit detrimental. So I don't know, I don't mind the idea of if he's got a few like knocks and things like that, just take him off TV. You're not losing anything as long as he's coming back, and he's coming back into something that you've put a bit of thought into, and there's a bit of meat there really from from a storyline point of view, that he can get his teeth into things.
that's probably better, isn't it? For me personally, I think that's better than just having him sort of tread water a little bit. Kind of, it sort of feels like, big star leaves the territory for a month or something like that and comes back and suddenly feels a bit more impactful. How many times does someone have an injury and then go off and come back and just feel a bit more than? I feel like MJF's someone who benefits from being in your face. Yeah, absolutely. He does. He benefits from having a little break from him every now and again, and then come back and you can be a bastard again and things.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person, doesn't it? It depends on like that. I mean, personally, I would have done that after this pay-per-view. I mean, it's called fucking Redemption for a reason. I thought that would be the story, the redemption of the Kenny MJF rematch. But again, All In takes precedence, and maybe it was just that was the only window they had to take him out. But I think, it depends on who it is. It's like, you could do that with like MJF. Swerve, I think Hangman's one where we don't know, is that a personal issue, is it a family issue, is it this niggling neck injury? I think he crosses the line of this happening too much with. Feels like it's like a yearly anniversary, isn't it? That Hangman takes 3 or 4 months off at the start of the year. And I think with Swerve, he's more, if we were putting those in in a tier list terms, he's somewhere in the middle where he's just had a weird year and it's made it felt weirder that he does continue. This has happened. This must be like a second extended absence from TV. And it's like, started the year by turning heel when I don't think anybody was crying out for him to be a heel. And then has had a couple of upper mid-card pay-per-view matches, Bandido, stuff like that. Obviously put Ospreay over last month. And then has gone away again. That's one where it's I think the more consistent presence would, make a lot more sense with him. But like you say, there might be a couple of other things going on. It's just, I think it's tough when it's all three, isn't it, at the same time? And again, you may be seeing that this redemption calendar.
Yeah, definitely. Swerve feels like the opposite for MJF to me. He feels like somebody who needs to be on TV week in, week out. And even if he's got injuries or whatever, you find something for him to do because you've put so much time and effort into building him up to be a main event player and him actually feeling like a main event player, and then for him to just not be in, you get him on fucking guest comms or whatever, you just have him there kind of thing because he's a star. He needs he needs to be out there, and he just needs that element of consistency that goes along with it. But Hangman, I just can't get my head around Hangman. He's almost becoming like fucking Sid Vicious or something like that, where you just kind of expect it. You can't. He's so unreliable. You literally cannot rely on him to whether you've got the belt on him or not, or he just seems to be so in and out. And then when how many times have we talked about this ad nauseum when he got that belt on him last year and it feeling right, we've just made the biggest babyface in the company, rightful position, it's been built perfection. Shitty title change, too quick and things. Then he's off TV and that and just so many times just dotted in over the years where he's just not an on-screen present extended. And if personal circumstances, fine kind of thing. If you've got stuff going on in your life and things, but to me, he just feels like someone who's just done. Kind of what's the point? Kind of what's the point in putting any stock behind him and any association with him sort of to move move forward? He's just a guy on the roster, and he's never going to be that person that you can absolutely sort of put the trailer behind and go, right, here you go, carry the company, because he's just totally unreliable from that point of view.
Yeah. And like you say, there could be a million reasons for it, some more justified than others, but it still remains the case, doesn't it? It's again, I mentioned it there, but it's almost like the reverse of, whatever's happening with Lashley in there. So they get there's clearly people Tony doesn't trust. And his way of dealing with those problematic people is often just to go, well, I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm just not going to book it instead. And you see that, and you see who he does trust and who he does, rely on. It's even a Bandido, I'm sure I'm going to go in later when it comes to the pay-per-view at the weekend. It's Tony just relies on him, doesn't he? We need a challenger for insert belt. Bandido can get a win on Collision. There's just people that are in his little Rolodex, and then there's people who kind of are, but yeah, he maybe only trusts to a level, and maybe Hangman falls into that. But like we said, with the comings and goings, and like I say, Ty Conti money being made free, Tony was pushed, and he fucking loves a good free agent season, and he did not rule out by any means the possibility of bringing people in. Outright said he was actively monitoring people. The number 7 has been thrown around as maybe there's at least 7 of the WWE free agents that Tony is interested in, which sounds like a fucking lot, mate. But as a reminder, of those 90 days being up for the WWE release people, it's your CMO, it's Machine Guns, your Kyries, your Alistair Blacks, it won't be him, Zelina, more on air later. yeah, and obviously the rest of your White Six, like your Eric Rowans and your Bo Dallases of the world. I can't quite make 7 from that, mate, but don't know, maybe he's counting the Motor City Machine Guns 3 times and then adding Kyrie. Maybe that's what's going on, or maybe he's thinking of Bailey, or maybe Sheamus later in the year as well. But I think I know the answer. But yeah, is there anybody in that list? So for some reason, mate, you strike me as possibly a Motor City Machine Guns guy, despite stylistically them not being very Gareth wrestlers. But I don't know if that'd be true for any of the other people Tony is apparently currently monitoring the situations of.
I'm just waiting for Swerve, bro, and it's the 7 is Dustin Rhodes. He's going to change character and he's going to bring his WCW character back, and that's what we're all waiting for. But I mean, when it comes to
Bo Dallas will be 8, sorted, done.
When it comes to the free agents, I'd be totally in on Motor City Machine Guns coming in. Like, you know, I like Alex Shelley more than I like Saban, but like, you know, I just think they'd be a useful addition to the roster. Like, why wouldn't you want them on the roster? They're not going to move the needle. They're not going to like sell it, but they're just good guys just to get in there.
And 3 matches will be a laugh.
Yeah, you know, they're going to work. You know, have a run with you know the top end, but then have some collision fodder kind of thing, putting them out there. You know, decent match as well. Like, why not? I think if you can do something with Kairi Sane, I would. You know, if there's some sort of, obviously with the whole relationship with Stardom seems to be as close as it's ever been right now with some of those belts there. So I don't know if there's some kind of like relationship there that can be done or something like that between the two. That might be something that's beneficial. But as for anybody else on the list, like, you're getting your whole, I saw like Santos Escobar's, watch out for me, Paul and fucking Khan, like, it's just like, you're joking, aren't you? Can't like just any other guy.
Got to add Gareth to that list now. Watch me, Gareth.
Don't want fucking Alistair Black or Zelina Vega anywhere near AEW, so they can go away. I don't think fucking Eric Rowan's coming in any time. And then, look at the others like your Samuel Shaws and your Bo Dallases. Like, again, don't want them anywhere near. I mean, for me, like, again, this probably goes against where I've been a little bit in the past, but I probably am a little bit like New Day. Yeah, I absolutely want to see a New Day in there. I think there'd be someone who...
That's another 2 of the 7 there.
Creatively, I think, giving them the opportunity to have a bit more control over their own creativity, I think they can add something, like, definitely just giving them that, like, element of freedom. I think they can do some, cool stuff that comes in there. I'm a big Bailey guy, so, getting the idea of getting Bailey in, like, later in the year, fucking all over that, like, proper excited for the idea of, again, having, Bailey with the shackles off a little bit as well, and getting a chance to work with some of the younger, different, talent in AEW, but then obviously see what her and Mercedes maybe, like, come up with between themselves as well. And weirdly, again, even though I'm not a big Sheamus guy, I'd probably, when you look down the list of all those current people, I feel like there maybe is a role for a 1-year Sheamus run. He feels like a guy who potentially could fall into that Lashley sort of pot of, not putting people over that he should be putting over at certain points. But if you can get an agreement with him to work and put people over, like, there's definitely a place like there for him. I think, again, the style of AEW can bring out the best side of him, and bring out the elements of him from a match point of view that you probably more likely want to see, being a bit more hard hitting and things. I can definitely see a role there with that. So again, that sort of probably flies a little bit in the face, really, of in the past when there's been WWE releases. I've always kind of wanted to avoid the people we've seen on TV for a long time. I want to sort of see some of those younger, fresh faces, but I think some of these are starting to crop up now. There's definitely value in there, and I can definitely see the crossover of them adding value to the AEW, long-term signings, sort of your homegrowners.
Yeah, there's always, like, exceptions, isn't there? And then also it's like you don't want to be doing it every time, but, like, you do need to reset your roster at some point, don't you? And, like, it is true, like, where do all your wrestlers come from? Well, most of them will probably work for WWE at some point. It's just a matter of fact, isn't it? It's going to be rare that you're going to find people who haven't had those runs. So, yeah, if you can find the right spaces for people. And I think, as well, maybe that's been a consistent thing over the time. Tag division's not always great. Well, there's 2 tag teams that add to it. Women's division is good, but it seems to be missing something right now. Well, a Kyrie could slot in, a Bailey could slot in. Like there's, like I say, you don't want to create a system where you are like bringing Aleister Black back again. I don't think that's going to happen. But your Rusevs of the world. Maybe we learned a lesson with the Hurt Syndicate. There's people you don't do it with as well, but there's obvious options there, isn't there? And yeah, I think Sheamus to me seems like one who I think he'd just be happy to be there. He'd have a good laugh and maybe protect his spot a little bit, but I can't see him being that bad. Like Matty keeps saying, he'll slot into the Blackpool Combat Club, the Death Riders, and we'll all just get on with it. Like that, just accept that is coming. They're going to have some Irish themed merch, and it's coming by the end of the year, and the bar will be back. Nothing we can do about that, but yeah, I think there are a couple there that are better prospects than others. I mean, before we move on quickly, a couple of the things he brought up. Obviously, the pay-per-view is starting at an hour early this time out. I mean, a couple of hours earlier would have been better, Tony. But there you go. That's positive one. So for those in the UK who don't know, midnight start for the pay-per-view, 11 p.m. start for the pre-show. So there you go. Get your snacks in. Maybe get Matty to stay an extra couple of days, mate. And you can watch
Saturday or Sunday?
Live on Sunday. Saturday. Did I say Saturday? Sunday. Sorry, it's Sunday. It's Sunday one. Yeah. So yeah, he'd have to stay 2 days, mate, to stick with that. But there you go. Possibility as well. I'll still feel like they should go back to the afternoon ones, but we'll see how the numbers go for it. And obviously, the attendance came up as well, which is doing okay for Redemption at the weekend. That's another good Matty talking point he keeps bringing up on these lives. He loves to bring up tickets, doesn't he, when it benefits him. But 6,357 tickets out is the official number, or at least the WrestleTix estimate at this point for the pay-per-view. And, that's running higher than AEW's overall yearly average, which is, contrary to belief, around 5,000. But obviously the pay-per-views tend to trend closer to the 10,000 odd number. So maybe they'll add a few extra. Maybe that's a slight disappointment, I think, on a big, a Canadian pay-per-view weekend with Kenny Omega in the main event. But yeah, maybe we'll see over the next couple of days if there's any movement on that. Don't know if you had any. I want to almost open it up to you, mate, if you did have any ticket-related stuff you wanted to mention.
Nah, I mean, I think, specifically when you're looking at that, I just, we'll probably get into it a little bit more, but, you just think there's something around the bills and things that, definitely with, Kenny been there, definitely they've been in Canada with other Canadian wrestlers and things. You feel like
it's Speedball in the main event, mate.
There's more that they could have done there than organise a Rougeau's tribute kind of thing to try and get the home audience on board. There's there's definitely other plays they could have made there, but I mean, to be honest, that ticket sales feels about right for what this card probably deserves, if I'm honest.
Yeah. That worries me about the pay-per-view buy rate as well, Tony, going, well, we'll see how it does earlier, and then when it does worse, it'll be like, it was the start time. I don't think it was, Tony, but we'll get there. But I suppose on that related note as well, just to get into some other quick news before we get to Dynamite, so as a follow-up to the live on Tuesday, WWE are, in fact, planning these fun little watch parties that they're doing, mate. It's not just going to be New York, apparently it's going to be all over the country, i.e. anywhere that Tony Khan might be able to find himself an arena, or, if today's reports, according to the Observer newsletter, a stadium. As it has been said that Tony's been hinting behind the scenes about AEW running WrestleMania weekend, as we've all said. It's a fucking obvious layup, isn't it? And apparently those in WWE do believe that it was New York is the plan. That's why they booked the theatre at MSG. And I guess we'll see where Tony lands if he's going to do it. But those strong rumours persist, and yeah, I mean, you always have your business hat on, Gareth, but I don't even think it's WWE just making stuff up. I'm sure they've got contacts in the industry who probably said this AEW one's ringing around looking for an arena, possibly in the Northeast, and yeah, it's starting to feel like at least plans for that are a little bit concrete now, and it explains WWE's actions that we were talking about on the live on Tuesday.
Yeah, when you start to see these things fall into place, like when you were talking about it the other day with Matty, when I was listening to it, I was thinking that's the thing. Contacts all over the place, aren't the WWE? So unless AEW have been highly strategic here and thrown a few kind of swerves into the mix and just dropping a few red herrings and breadcrumbs, you'd have to assume that was their thought process. So you can kind of see why WWE's going about things as they are, but I mean, it just falls into that no-brainer category completely for AEW to just run that weekend and do something. And if it's New York and they've got order somewhere to do it in that's a decent size, then great. And then if you can kind of tag the whole weekend around it and things with indies and that you'd normally have, then even better. Kind of making it feel like a festival of wrestling that WWE just happens to have like a small presence on them, but it's about an AEW weekend or something like that. That feels like a big win. It's just WWE's just got this presence when there's people around, and it sort of feels very much sort of less than it normally would. That'd be great. But I do have that feeling as well of like, it'd be great if they have just been throwing red herrings out there, and they're not going to New York at all, and WWE are going to be set in New York, and AEW are like, oh no, yeah, we're doing it in fucking Florida, or we're doing it in Philadelphia, or wherever.
Chicago probably don't, Tony.
They've got other plans that they're aiming for around that. That'd be quite cool as well. But it's just an absolute layup this for AEW to do something, and WWE, try as they might, can try and put a few blocks in the way, but really it's going to have very little impact. If anything, it just creates another reason for wrestling fans to be in there and around there and go to other shows and things like that, really. So they're sort of shooting themselves in the foot as well from that perspective. In
truth, it's to everyone's benefit. I said that to Steph about the Chicago weekend going up. I was like, because she's the expert on like where the fucking Now Arena is compared to where whatever the Allstate that WWE are running, which I have been to once for a WrestleMania, and she was like, no, you couldn't do both. It's not. I was like, well, could I go watch the first two matches at one and then bomb it to the next? And it's like two Americans, like it's close, but in actuality, it's like a fucking 2-hour drive or something daft like that between the two arenas. But like more wrestling fans in the same city, Chicago's going to benefit at the end of the day for it. And I think the thing that caught my eye on this, just in like these latest like bits from the Observer today, is just the weird stadium too. Like that tells me like AEW are treating like it's big, and they should. You could even make it all in next year. Might get you out of jail of like, I know it'll be soon on the calendar, but get you out of jail of feeling that you have to do it. At least explain why you're not doing an all-in in the UK next year, or whether they do take that abroad going forward, which feels very likely at the minute, but that could be a case, couldn't it? Or maybe they'll just come up with their own, they'll usually ROH Supercard branding, always hated that Supercard of Honor, and maybe they'll come up with another one, but I guess it could be Dynasty too, couldn't it? It doesn't really feel stadium worthy, but I'm sure they could work something out.
And like, in reality, like, if All In, if it is just All In and use that branding has been their like headline, so what? It's in a different month. Like, who cares? Yeah. Why anyway, does it have to be in the same month just because WWE?
That Texas year was July, wasn't it? That was when they swapped it with Forbidden Door. So it's not that much. 2 more months in it earlier, really. 2.5 months.
Yeah. So they could do that, but I just it feels like a no-brainer on so many levels.
Definitely. Well, to get into some of the other bits of news, I'll just flag through a couple of these. But Janelle Grant, Vince McMahon and WWE have agreed to arbitration in writing now. That is the latest update on that case. And Grant, as a result, is going to file for dismissal of suit. So, as was expected with the reporting a couple of weeks ago, that is going to be settled out of court, subject to that arbitration. Obviously, this we did say on the live, this is coming around the anniversary of Vince getting off with the steroid trial as well. But despite what some Reddit places might make you think, I don't think there's a victory by any means for Vince McMahon or the WWE side, but we'll keep monitoring on that. There is obviously also other business-related news with the Paramount WBD merger that's on hold now due to a temporary restraining order. I don't think that thing's ever going to happen, so maybe AEW's future is very bright, mate, and they're going to be around for decades to come on WBD, depending on what happens there. And other quick news I was going to mention there, I don't know if you've seen the episode of the Dark Side of the Ring as well, got some news related to that, but anything on those big stories first?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think with the Janelle Grant, like Vince McMahon stuff, it's I think over the years we've sort of looked into it. You've had your hopes up of certain ways and things that things could go. Like probably realistically we were looking at it from the viewpoint of this is probably the outcome that we probably expected. Going back quite a way for things to work this way. I just you just like to think the main thing is if you just think of Janelle Grant and you just think that if you just want it to be an outcome that she's like that she's satisfied with and things that go along with that, and hopefully he's had a sufficient stain on his character that then that's something that lingers as well, and it's not something that's then washed under the carpet and moves away. You don't want it just to have this feeling of like oh great, forget about that, let's move on sort of thing, which in some circles
it's an annoying amount of people who want that, is there? Feels already like fancy booking it, him coming back.
People are already talking about elements, and you're just like, oh, like come on. that's the last thing that we want there. I mean, in terms of the Paramount WBD merge, I mean, again,
it's talks, it'll happen, won't it, eventually?
I always think if it's if it's the outcome that the people with the most power want, then then sufficient palms will be greased, or sufficient things will happen certain ways to make sure that they get what they want. But with these things, I always just think like, it's just like, there's no point worrying about it till it's happened. Kind of at the end of the day, that's sort of once in place, then you can kind of like see how the land lies and things fall from there. But it's one of those with AEW. I think we've talked in the past in the relation to this is that I think they've got a sufficient level of cachet when it comes to TV ratings and value that's delivered and things like that. That no matter what happens from that standpoint, it's not like they're in a TNA scenario of years ago where there should be that fearful necessarily of changes in the TV dynamic, or even WCW back in the day. I think there'd be plenty of suitors who would see sufficient value in AEW to want to take that forward. But dropping TNA in there does get me thinking about Dark Side of the Ring from the recent episodes, but gets me thinking about that Samoa Joe episode there. You flashed up the VHS, and how much do I want VHS? Fuck.
How great is that? I knew I had to show you, mate, honestly. VHS, physical media is back, everyone. Let's get a VHS. Let's all get VHS. I follow this bloke on Facebook. You might have seen him. He's actually a wrestling fan, because everyone ends up being a wrestling fan that you watch on the internet. And like he collects like old tapes from like garage sales and stuff. And like, the ones with nothing on it. And he just puts them on and presses play, and that's his content. That's his YouTube content. And the amount of amazing, he'll just press play, and it'll be like a TV edit of Scarface, or it'll be a random soap from the 70s or whatever. Mate, that's the life. That's the business you need to start while the family's away, mate. Watching old videos, mate. You never know what's on this stuff. No mold on some of those tapes as well, unbelievably, despite how old they are. So there you go. You could add a Dark Side of the Ring to that collection as well. Love that.
Oh, I tell you what, though, whoever designed that, like fucking. What a genius is like that artwork for the cover there. Like that literally just looks like proper, go in the video shop when you were 12 and it just been like some like video nasty that's on the shelf or something like
Which is
that.
What it is really, isn't it?
The fonts that they've used and everything like that. It's just absolute perfection. Like obviously the image that's been used. I just want that. Like I just want it. Like not that I'm ever going to buy a VHS player to watch it on. Just want that on my shelf, kind of, to be able to go back and look at. But again, I'm assuming you've watched the episode, have you?
Just caught it tonight. Yeah.
Like, what a brilliant! Like just.
It's one of my most joyous moments in GRAPPL history, mate.
You gave me that first exposure to watching that match for whatever playlist or whatever it was that we did back in the day when we watched that, and fucking loved every moment of when I watched it, and then loved every moment of that Dark Side of the Ring, just going over it again this week, and just hearing just the talking about it, just seeing Joe's face, like the joy on his face at certain points and things like that when certain stuff's happening, watching it on that fucking mega screen that I need to have that, like I need to have that screen just to watch me wrestling on, like, but
Joe is so funny because, like, I think he's got to a point in life now where he appreciates it, but there was definitely, because the types of knobheads like me would be coming up to him in hotel lobbies, maybe that happened in my life, going, I was fucking loved, I was there for, like, you and Kabashi, or, someone I'm sure said, so I was there for you and Necro. And I think he always had, like, I'm still wrestling now, though, like, that was in 2005, like, it's 2015, shut up. Like, I think he's always kind of been like, he's just a bit too cool for school, Joe, isn't he? And even in this, I think he's come to a point in life where he's like, I made up that, like, it's got the reputation it's got, and but at the end of the day, to me, it was just, it was a Sunday afternoon. I wanted to get some in Philadelphia, and I just turned up, and apparently everyone was buzzing for the match, and I didn't really understand why. And then obviously once we got in the ring, we made magic. But he's still kind of got this aloof, like, the M Bison. Well, it was a Saturday, whatever. I had a match, I kicked someone's head in. But like, I think he does appreciate it more now, and obviously being showed it back, and obviously they were clearly relaying the messages from Necro, thanking him, and he thanks him back and stuff. It was just so cool to see, and like, it's again, I guess this is a mini review now of it, but I just loved, and it's such a small subject to make an episode about, so I think you can see that in some of it, that like it's like, how are we going to fill an hour here? And how they do it is just the fucking faces they bring in. The only person missing, CM Punk, in it from commentary, obviously with them the WWE like contract, but fucking Bryce is there. You've got fucking is it Anthony Franco, Dave Turner, I think that was the names from the ROH school there. You've got fucking everybody. You've got Rob Naylor is on there because he got referenced on commentary. Like, it's just like, yeah, if you were gonna make a documentary about a place and time, it felt validating of like how important that match was to my fandom at the time, and like I say, how much fucking fun we had reviewing it. I think we've reviewed it twice now on the Patreon, and how like a proud dad I was that you guys liked it as well. It's like, I feel like it's gone an even step further now. It's been on national TV, and the whole story's been explained with all of the exact right people as well. Like, I just have a smile on my face the entire time, just so happy. Never mind reliving some of the bumps in it, and finding out the happy accidents of a few of them in there that actually Necro didn't mean to land on his face, and actually there might have been a slipping around a little bit, and maybe Joe wasn't happy with a couple of things in the match, but was overall on board for it all. But I believed it all in 2005. It felt like a shoot fight, and God, I just honestly felt proud watching it be on the American telly on top of it all.
I just loved hearing Necro talk about it as well, where he's talking about like calling the spots and different elements, and he's just hearing, again, like amazed that he's still got he can still sort of piece together those thoughts and things like that at this stage, but just hearing him kind of put across his side and what he's trying to achieve, like artistically, and talking talking so articulately about it, and what he's trying to achieve and things. Like, I absolutely love that. And just as almost like a sidebar, I mean, you and Matty were talking the other day about, like, you're talking a little bit about like sort of like the casual fan and things, and like I got like a message the other day off like one of my mates from school who hates wrestling, but he was saying to me like, I found these things, Dark Side of the Ring, and I love them. He's like, I can't start watching them. It's like you would never ever sit down and watch wrestling ever, kind of thing. But this thing where these intricate stories, the human beings behind them, kind of like they've got so much value and they've got so much weight, and it's just so much. It's so good to see, like, even things where you look at stuff and you go like, well, that's not really Dark Side of the Ring because someone didn't like blow the brains out or die of a heroin overdose or something like that. It's just something. There's still like immense value in it, and just because it doesn't align to what the title was and what it was originally supposed to be.
Past that now, I think.
It feels like there's so much more stuff like this as an example for something that's just like the real backstory within wrestling, that getting people down, talking about it properly, not talking about it in a WWF sort of standpoint, sugar-coated way and things. Like, again, it just feels like when we talk about breaking the mold of wrestling TV, there could be more things of this. AEW could be doing more of this, where they've got the ROH footage and things like that to lean on. There are innovative different things that people could be doing there. So I immediately sent my mate the Necro link there, and I said to him, like, I was like, you'll enjoy this person, you'll enjoy this human being, just getting into the brain of this man, kind of thing. Never heard of Samoa Joe in his life, but again, it just shows the value of the insane people that we fucking watch week in, week out, all our lives and talk about.
Oh yeah. That's it. Send him the Google Drive link next with the full match. It needs to be enjoyed. Necro in all his glory, bloody face, mouth open, everything about it. I actually thought he came across well in here, despite the fact I know he's ahead the ball in real life, and I do not endorse any of the fucking order. He says such horrible things on Facebook that GCW have said this week they won't book him. Like, terrible human, but also look at. There might be reasons why he's such a terrible human. Maybe there's not. Maybe he was always that way, but fucking hell, look at the stuff that he did in wrestling too. Like, both of those things can be true. And yeah, it is like something that deserves that legendary status overall, as does Joe. I just love, again, like I say, Joe's not one of the biggest household names, so I think it's cool as well, just to see him spotlighted on there and made talk like the world's biggest badass, and put like they take a little liberty with, he was ROH champion, then he was TNA champion, then he was a champion in WWE, then he was AEW champion. So there's a bit of in between there, and maybe Hamflet and Matty might like to point out those in betweens as well. But he was treated like the legend he deserves to be, so I was happy too. But no, cracking episode of TV was that one. And yeah, I've been enjoying it. I enjoyed overall. I enjoyed the three TNA ones, even if they were a little bit light and a little bit Jeff Jarrett's version of history. I thought the third one tied that home well as well. So yeah, long may it continue. There's always subjects, and our Peter's the same. I know multiple people who are like, "Oh, have you seen that Dark Side of the Ring?" I'm like, "Yeah, obviously. You know, you've seen me. You've seen me entire life. Of course, I've watched it." But it's still cool. People bring it up, isn't it? People do it with Unreal as well, which I know is another Gareth favorite. I'm sure you're making plans to watch that this weekend too.
Might throw it on tonight. Maybe that might be the viewing for Matty. I might finally break his duck.
Apparently, it's good.
Yeah,
people have enjoyed this one.
I've enjoyed the first two series. You know, obviously you're intelligent enough to see past the bullshit kind of that's in there. But like, I just like anything that's backstage in wrestling. I just like seeing how things are laid out and stuff like that. Never mind what people are talking about and stuff. I just want to see, like, oh look, they've got a telly there. Why have they got a telly there and things? You know, you're just questioning everything. Like, oh look, there's a seamstress who's making that thing for that person, kind of thing. Oh, I never thought about that kind of thing. It's all them small little details that I just like as much as the scripted. You know, Total Bellas style element to it, sort of thing. Anything backstage in wrestling, a peek behind the curtain is always going to be a worthwhile thing.
Babyface the wrestlers, and most of the staff more than anything the actual company does. Maybe there's a lesson for them there as well. But yeah, I'll catch up on that this weekend as well. Maybe it'll be a talking point for the live next week. But more TV wrestling to come. I'll just throw out a quick through a few other news. Things to go in. Nothing major, but if you got anything you fancy commenting on, let me know, mate. Daniel Garcia is going to be there in WXW. Shortcut to the top in August this year. Good sign that AEW talent are working outside of AEW. Actually, maybe not, as AEW star Roosh is apparently work in progress coming up. First time match ever in London, which I found hard to believe. Apparently, it's going to be the All-In weekend, though, so I guess that makes sense. But that's interesting that they're allowing talent to work for progress again. Maybe maybe there is truth. Maybe Nikki Storm's headed to AEW at some point. He's one of those free agents Tony's got his mind on. But they feel like that had stopped, and they very much backed Rev Pro. Well, there you go. We'll see. I'm sure you won't be buying a ticket for that, mate.
Not a chance. But they've got doing the Dynamites in Scotland, isn't it? Just before. Yeah. So there you go. Nikki Storm will be showing up there. That's probably something.
That's where that's come about, isn't it? There you go. You got to the bottom of it. Makes sense.
Something, but to be honest, I mean, it's just it's needed. I think it's something that AEW should definitely be trying to do more. And there's so many people that's there that's either unutilized or underutilized or would benefit from. Just getting reps in a different environment and doing things another way. Like, I absolutely just welcome this. And if it's progress, then so what kind of thing. If it's Rev Pro, great. If it's WXW, but if it's indies across America, and then just starting to push that a little bit more, that'd be great. And you sort of
makes sense.
You want to see, if you've got the likes of your Garcia level people and things working into, I immediately see that, and I was like, my first reaction was, oh, I might go to WXW, honestly, when I just saw that. And then I was like, oh, no, it's August. No, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to kind of thing. But it's little things like that. If it was really Utah, it might be, I'm jumping on a plane kind of, to get over there. So it does, there's still a lot of value in this that can help the wrestler, help AEW by, sort of secondary means, but also support the indies as well. Definitely better than, I can see you in the chat talking there about the likes of Dijak work in progress. I mean, who could care less kind of thing, who's travelling across London even to go and see, Dijak's working, no value in that kind of thing. Let's try and get people on there who've got a bit of value and, make you want to go and see it.
Other wrestler update, this was a late one. Alicia Fox has left TNA. Didn't know she was in TNA, but there you go. That's news. Zelina has announced a new name, and it's Zelina, just this time with an X. Don't know if you had the chance to catch her version of the Break from Prison video that she did this week, where it was like a weird little art film about, genuinely sad what happened with her dad dying at 9/11, and then some weird wrestling stuff, including an appearance from Andrade in a suit that doesn't fit him anymore, but fair play for him being willing to do it. But I can't see the former Trinidad, I guess, now turning up in AEW, but we'll see.
Someone put that in our chat, and I was like, I clicked it, and then I saw that it was 5 minutes. I saw that it was 5 minutes. I was like, I'm not watching 5 minutes of Selena.
I did watch the whole thing, to be fair. It was quite well made. It was just very self-indulgent, but I don't think self-awareness is top of mind for that couple particularly. Can you remember
it was a thing though? It feels like we had a spate of these, didn't we? Like these people, with their release videos and spending money and paying to get it edited nicely and shot.
See,
well.
what you don't understand, mate, is the prison is the company that I was in, and the escape is a meta. Honestly, like 12 people did that exact same video, didn't they? Like, I think that's why they stopped, maybe. Should have just done a Spud crying video, and there you go. You get signed back the next week. Hey, that one was good. We'll always give Spud credit on these shows. Other quick news: WWE, and the most shocking news of the year, and SiriusXM have announced the launch of WWE Radio. And if SiriusXM makes you think, what's that? Busted Open. That show that's constantly going back for WWE. When Bully Ray says as a headline on your favorite news site, and he said something stupid again on Busted Open Radio. Well, yeah, that's where that exists, and it turns out they were always WWE State Media all along, and yes, they are wearing it proudly on their sleeves now, as they will be a show officially on WWE Radio, mate, which apparently is going to be run 24 hours a day. And I think what is old is new. Like, we did Bash at the Beach 98 at the weekend, and again, I had a great time doing it, but like, they're selling it on there. Back then you couldn't stream a pay-per-view in video, but you could stream the audio and you could listen to the matches. Apparently they'll be doing that. There'll be a live coverage of PLEs as well as stuff like Busted Open and other shows on there. So they're coming for the podcasters, mate. Better watch out. Although saying that, if Tony wants to put his hand in his pocket, I'm not sure if I'd turn it down, but we'll see. See what happens. Maybe a good offer, Tony.
Need to get on. They need to go full talk sport and have the likes of Gabriel Bonmahar and Adrian Durham on there and things like that. Just poking the WWE fans, just telling them how shit it is and things like that. Just to
it'll be Alex Shane, and we all know it. It's always going to be him in it.
Yeah. Tommy Boyd, get him back.
Well, there you go. If you fancy some of that, I'm sure even Matty won't be listening to it, but they're over there, and it's quite funny seeing the Busted Open lads now after backtrack a little bit on some of the shots they were sending at other members of the media. And obviously, again, in all seriousness, comes on the back of, I honestly think it's horrendous that Andreas Haley was writing those ESPN reports for WWE, the WWE reports for ESPN, and was like giving grades, and he gave, what did he give? Did he give one of the shows a C, or it was like a C-, and WWE lost the shit, took his credential away for WrestleMania, and now he's been sacked from ESPN. And I'm sure these things are not related, and there's nothing possibly going on there. But when your combat sports reporter who's supposed to cover WWE can't go to the shows, then that position comes a little bit untenable, doesn't it? And they knew what they were doing all along. So, like I said earlier, support independent media, folks, because the people who you think are up to this stuff usually are. You're usually right.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is. It's just that kind of, Trumpian state media approach, isn't it? If we just push the propaganda. If everything is awesome, then everything is awesome, and get everyone to the line and spend their money. Definitely. When it comes to things like this, the independent voice is the thing that we all need, and whether it's a grapple voice or somebody else's voice, as long as you're not just
Voice of the Wrestling Post, Poison Rana, choose your battle, all good
absolutely
stuff.
As long as you're not just getting it spoon fed by the Fed, then that's the route you need to.
Agreed. And finally, to get to some light-hearted stuff before we get on with the news, Dave Bautista has stated this week in an interview that he'd rather go fucking broke and be poor than go back to wrestling. I enjoyed that quote from him. Unrelated, mate, I also saw a news story about Stone Cold Steve Austin. He'd won. He's doing off-road racing, mate. Finished 13th. Not too bad for Steve, Could have done something funny there with a 316, maybe. I don't know. But he's up to that. And yeah, those are the healthy wrestlers who are doing stuff in the post-retirement. And The Rock is currently crying in a field somewhere. But there you go. Some people have great post-wrestling careers, and some people don't. And Rock's had one, and now it's kind of reversed on him. And Dave Bautista's laughing all the way to the bank. So you like to see it. You like to see sometimes the guys who know, like Brett's the same, isn't he? Like his time is done, and he's quite happy and comfortable. And then there's others who have to go back begging.
All the best lads work out. It all works out right for the.
I realised what I was saying, and I was like, "Oh no, how do I backtrack on this?" Yeah, and some of them take jobs at NXT. I suppose that's where it goes. Yeah. Looking forward to Punk taking over that, aren't you, mate? He'll be the next Sean at NXT. But I'd watch Steve doing some off-road racing, mate. I think you actually said it. You inspired this one where it was like, Steve's just playing with his cats on Instagram, isn't he, mate? He's having the fucking time of his life. He doesn't need to get involved in this begging for work stuff that The Rock's doing, or remaking his cartoons, or going for Oscar bait again. And then Batista's the same thing. He's just doing it, isn't he? Batista's like just a natural, actual actor, and he's having the career I reckon Dwayne would kill for now. So just shows you.
And that's it. And with Dave, though, as well, like over the years, where he has just like mixed it up and just done little indie things and stuff because he's interested in it and stuff and wanting to learn or wanting to likes the script or test himself in different environments and stuff like that. Just enjoying it, having the time of his life, and then being good at it. So then, when the blockbuster comes along, making a bit of heavy dough on the side as well. So like setting yourself up there. But yeah, it's all about content, Steve, and how many times the fucking Fed have been on the blower to him, and can you turn up for this? And he's just like, nah. Don't need it, don't want it. What you got for me? Nah, sounds shit.
I love it.
Kind of.
And even when it's something good, he's still like, maybe. We'll see. I might be busy in April. He's just like, it has to be literally perfect, doesn't it? And laid out exactly how he'd want. No, and if Dwayne's there, or if the sort of Hogan was there, or something like that, I was like, nah, come on, lads, fuck yeah. I love, he's got that fuck you money, hasn't he? Or at least that fuck you life. And that seems to be what Batista's got as well, which is funny. You love to see it. Solid ass cats, as Andy said.
I'm not sure about Dave's his epic face there, though. I'm not having that. He's
got a bit Gunther, hasn't he?
Got a bit Gunther there, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And the other unfairly story I had was that Cody Rhodes was on the Tonight Show this week and talked about the possibility of Erling Haaland being his tag team partner. That just shows you when somebody's cracked through in America, and that seems to be what Haaland's done this week. But interesting, Cody and Haaland as a tag team possibility. I don't know why he thinks they could be. He said we could be cousins. Like how? Why? If we got like some Norwegian in you, Cody, I guess they're both blonde. I guess that kind of works there somehow. But I could see that Erling somebody could pull off. He's got the charisma, mate. He's got the look. He's got the size. What more do you need? Back in the early '90s, even Sid could have been a tag team. That could have been one. Just choke slamming motherfuckers in mid '90s WCW. That would have been good stuff.
Big Scandinavian population in Minnesota as well. I should be wheeling them out here at SummerSlam and doing the
even Brock. That would be the one, yeah.
doing the big thing here, or they'll be more likely to be tying him in with War Machine or whatever they're called these days in WWE, wouldn't they? Or maybe get John Nord out or something, get some Berserker thing going or something like that. There's definitely some tie-ins there that they could do with a Nordic thing with old Erling, but I feel like he's a bit more. I feel like he's a bit more from the Batista, Steve Austin way of life, Erling Haaland there. I think he's got his fuck you money. I think he's maybe too cool for this shit.
Yeah, Premier League footballers earn that money in 6 months, and it takes WWE wrestlers an entire career to get it, doesn't it? Like almost legitimately when you're someone of that level. So probably not happening anytime soon. But there you go. Just shows you how big he is at the minute. And yeah, that takes us out of the news into the TV wrestling. Obviously, SmackDown, of course, coming up this weekend. Nothing announced, mate. Of course, Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax is the only thing we know of on SmackDown. There's AAA TV this weekend. Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana versus La Hydra and Laredo Kids on that. And more importantly, Dominic Mysterio and El Grande Americano taking on Los Perros Del Mal, which I feel like is from 6 weeks ago, but apparently it's also happening this week. I don't know, have you caught any MLP, Maple Leaf Pro, there? Strangely not running this weekend. You would think they would with the Canadian AEW show, unless I've missed something. They had their regular TV this weekend. They are unfortunately pushing Rhino, mate, so I don't know how long that's going to last. But Johnny TV was on the show beating TJP. Danny Luna beating Vanna Black. In fairness, last week's lineup was a lot better. Grizzly Young Veterans were on there. Nice to see them get a bit away, but imagine it's more on your radar than JCW, which people will be glad to know we don't have any results for this week, so I can't tell you anything. Yeah,
it's every time I open my AEW app, I always see like MLP, and I'm like, oh, I'll give it a go, and then I never do, kind of thing. And then when I'm looking there, and if I see Johnny TV versus TJP, like honestly, like
Don Callis commentary doesn't sound fun, does it? Amora,
I'm like seeing it as one of them things of like, this might be a good avenue to just see some new people, kind of, get them on your radar and things. But if I'm having to dredge through the likes of that, then definitely be on my radar too. Maybe I don't know. Sinner and Saint going to pop up in there with the Canadian side of things. So that might be the thing to pull me in there since they've.
And National Canadian Promotions, not a terrible idea, is it? It's just the execution's not been particularly exciting so far, but. Oh, well. But you know, though, back in the app days, mate, you'd have people begging you every week to add them to the app.
He'll be on there.
JCW will probably be on there, mate. You'd be the inter-shit match. What the fuck is this? You'd be entering that every week. But thankfully we don't, as we don't have results for JCW. They haven't bothered updating it, so there you go. Look at Vince Russo's Twitter if you want to know what happened in Gigolo Champion shit wrestling this week. TNA also took place last night. Frank Kazarian and AJ Francis beating Moose and Elijah. They had Alanya Black beating Wendy Chu on the show. Mr. Elegance beating BDA in the right. They had a match called the Righteous Deletion, mate. The Hardys versus the Righteous. I can't imagine that was good. Tell us you and within here if it was, but I don't imagine so. And Nick Nemeth beat Casey Navarro in the main event of that as well. Oh, Jada Stone beat Alicia Edwards. They were things that happened on TNA's show. And several people were on the phone if JP's results are anything to go by.
The deletion, like, honestly, like...
What year is it?
When was that? Was that more than 10 years ago now? Probably.
That was one, to be fair. I did have people in work going, have you seen this? Like, it was one of those, it was so bad that, like, it escaped our YouTube bubble and went to other YouTube bubbles, and then people were asking me about it, and I was like, oh, I think I like this now. I think it's so bad it actually might be good. Contrary to the law of Gareth, but I think it kind of was.
Oh, yeah, I loved it back in the day, but, I mean, come on. Get some new ideas, like, Jesus Christ.
What year is it? Well, once the Wyatt Six wind up over there, mate, they'll be right back to it again. So that's your future TNA fans. Good luck.
That's what came first, the Bloodline or Delete? I can't remember.
Feels like the same amount of time to me at this point, but we'll see. ROH TV also took place as we get into AEW matters. Leo Rush beat Oro, Brian Keith beat Alan Angels, Billy Starks beat Becca, RPG Vice beat Mansoor and Alex Zane, Premier Athletes beat the Dark Order. Yeah, Tony definitely, I'm starting to question this Tony needs more talent thing. High-End beat Lacey Lane. Adam Brooks beat Nathan Cruz, which is a match they set up on the TV. How is Nathan Cruz a push commodity in new ROH? Not my ROH, Gareth. Commander beat Tommy Billington, more like it. I might have been into that. And Skyfly beats Shane Taylor Promotions, but there you go. Nathan Cruz, the gatekeeper of ROH, as we all imagine.
That must have happened in BritWres in 2016 or something like that. Surely, like Nathan Cruz against Adam Brooks when he was
when he was over, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still trying to work out what a loose ledge is. I don't know if he just needs a better joiner at home or something like that, you know.
I think me and JP found out in a pub, but we can't talk anymore on that beer because we're not behind the Patreon paywall. But there is also, obviously, with all that in the books, of course, AEW to talk about as we get into the Dynamite talk, and we'll obviously preview Collision and then get into the big old preview of AEW Redemption this weekend. But like I say, Gareth, it's a week before an AEW pay-per-view, mate, and the big selling point here is how's Gareth's AEW catch-up and going, and yeah, what have you made of the TV overall? Like I say, it scares me a little bit when you're like, oh, I've caught up on all the audio. I'm like, oh no, I do. But I like when we disagree, but also it's like, I hope I have hopefully I think I know Gareth that he might well agree with some of what we've been saying about the TV overall. But won't poison the well too much, mate. What have you made of this TV block leading to the pay-per-view? And yeah, obviously we were on, talking the last one and, building up the fact that, oh, well, of course, the fallout of Forbidden Door. We're going to get, Maya Weld in a big spot. Oh, mate, that didn't happen. Well, Hangman's coming back. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. But we're going to build a big show, a batch at the pay-per-view. Maybe not. But it's been maybe an unpredictable little block of TV. But what have you made of it overall?
Well, I've managed to keep on track more than usual. Like normally, Normally I'm like, oh fuck, there's a pay-per-view. Like I've got to do the preview show like shit. I've got to squeeze 12 hours of telly into 2 days or something.
Last week I fucked you and I made it Tuesday as well, so like I bet gave you last time.
So, but I have kept more on track with it this time. Just haven't fallen as far behind. And I know going into that last pay-per-view, I was pretty kind of the mindset that this has been not great. With like going into it, obviously we had the trademark discussion of TV hasn't been great and the pay-per-view is going to deliver. And then when we do the pay-per-view, then I'm fucking waxing lyrical and glowing about 3 or 4 of the matches and proper excited. But I have to say, like if you almost take that pay-per-view out of the equation from last time, and then you almost treat this run of television from the lead up to that one into the run up to this, like. I don't think I've ever been as down on AEW in my life. Maybe this even goes back to like run up into the first Wembley time period as well. Like, it's not actively bad or anything like that. It's just dull. I'm just bored by it. Like, I just don't feel like there's anything there that's like remotely compelling. I feel like I'm just sitting watching it and I'm just sort of glazed over, just staring at the telly, and shit happens and it just doesn't feel important. It doesn't feel well thought out. It doesn't feel like there's any nuance to anything. So much of it just feels like just lazy and just oh fuck, like shit, there's a pay-per-view in a fortnight, we've got to make a match. Like, oh, look, just go and push him backstage. All right, they're having a match now, kind of thing. Why? Because he pushed him. Like, it feels a bit like.
Get me Bandito on the phone. It's like,
yeah, well, exactly. It feels a bit like that. But like, honestly, I just feel like it's really, really dull. And like, I was messaging. Not to use your other podcast life as an excuse, but I was messaging Hamflet. Like, we were having a little conversation the other day.
Oh, he's to blame.
And I was saying like. I don't know if it's just because I'm up to that point in 2017 of listening to your shows where you're talking about like kind of the nuance of the Paul Bearer stuff and the Nation of Domination and the Heart Foundation and Steve and then the Shawn stuff running alongside it, and you're talking about how there's so much thought going into this and there's so much nuance and detail and they're thinking about things on so many levels and it's all interlocking, and I'm like, listening to that, and I'm like getting pumped up listening to that, and I'm like, yeah, this was brilliant, it was so good, and then I'm watching AEW, and I'm like, this is like nothing's happening. There's no one's putting any creative thought into anything that feels like it's happening here, and I almost feel like listening to you talk about like 1987's actively making my enjoyment of 2026 wrestling worse, because it just like it's making me realise how lazy and how lame some of it is comparatively. Like, it's honestly, I'm so down on it going to this. I swear to God, if we weren't doing a podcast on it and it wasn't already included in my AEW, I would not buy this pay-per-view. There's not a chance in hell that I'd lay down money for this pay-per-view.
I can't disagree with a lot of that. I've probably been a bit higher on some of the individual episodes. Like we keep saying, like the individual episodes, like MJF and Kenny, when they did that episode, that was very enjoyable. We're not far removed from like the little Darby Allin period, and mostly like there's been TVs I think across this last 4 episode stretch that I've maybe not as loved as much as others, but there's been a couple where I'd say they felt actively good at TV shows. But like you've probably heard me say in the last week or so, none of it actually though has done anything to build my anticipation for the pay-per-view, and that is part of the puzzle, isn't it? As a wrestling fan, it's like. Again, even if I'm higher on the TVs, I think the TV individual shows have been largely good. The pay-per-view will be good no matter what. We say it every single month. Of course it will. Like, of course you could put all the names into a random number generator and just be like, yeah, it's fucking Commander versus whoever on your pay-per-view, and like that match will be good because of course it will be an AEW pay-per-view match in front of an AEW pay-per-view crowd with very talented wrestlers working. But like as a weekly wrestling promotion, you do need more than that. Like wrestling, the art of wrestling is building anticipation, isn't it? The art of wrestling is making some things feel more important than other things, and building that sense of importance and that sense of investment is the key word, isn't it? In like these shows, and investment in the outcomes feels like a very old thing as far as like the types of people who join AEW, because we can be said to just want the good matches, and that will do. But like, you still need like that level of it in there, don't you? That level of doubt, that level of what's going to happen next. And yeah, this is the least heavy duty, the least box office, whatever word you want to put it, least significant feeling pay-per-view they've ever done. Like, yeah, we're not about to do podcasts, me too many and more than most. And like, even I'm like, yeah, I totally, I've had that thought pop into my head. Like, I would probably, if I was in the UK, stay up Sunday, but like the idea of getting up on Monday morning and being like, oh man, I'm going to watch a 6-hour pay-per-view that I'm sure will be good, but I'm not invested in a second of it. It does feel like something that, yeah, you could probably skip and be quite happy. And I'm sure the people out there who, thankfully for you guys, we watch it and take the bullet and I'm sure enjoy it and talk about it. And you can hear us talk about it and maybe it's more that picking and choosing. I might pick, there's a couple of matches on the card I'm a little bit more into than others, Bucks and, Ospreay and Moxley, stuff like that I'd pick out. But as far as like, yeah, making people excited and invested to sit down for yet another 6-hour pay-per-view, no matter when it starts, you've got to start saying the TV isn't doing its job. And that is, like I say, it's become a running joke with me and you to say this every single last weekend show before a pay-per-view. But I think there is just something structurally broken, isn't there? That's like, that is just not happening this year in AEW in 2026.
Like definitely, yeah. I think you using that word investment there is that is the thing that's like lacking for me. It's that feeling of, like, make me care kind of thing. Make me care about what's happening on the TV. Give me a reason to like not reason to believe, but just like a reason to be asked about the reason why these two people are having a match, or give me a reason to want wrestler X to beat wrestler Y. Like make it not just be this perfectly executed match that's happening in front of my eyes. That's critically, like great, but like you want to be on the edge of your sofa, don't you? You want to be like like something. The heel does something to like a baby face. Like you still want to buy into it. You still want to kind of want them to get their redemption or whatever it is that comes as a result.
Redemption is this?
It's just like there is just like that is the big thing, and it's almost like, again, I'm guessing we're probably going to go match by match or something like that, down things. But I think when I looked at it before and I was going down match by match, and I was like, why are they having a match? Like, what is the reason that these two people are having a match now? And in so many instances, it was just the most basic, last minute, lamest reason, or like connection for them to be going out there and working together on a pay-per-view, just feeling thrown together, and again, that's worse than anything for me, kind of thing. It's just like just putting names on a bit of paper and go out and have a good match. Like, so what?
Yeah, and maybe we're spoiled too that we have this promotion that does this for so long, and maybe it's like, you need to give us a little bit more. But I think you do. You need to give us a little bit more. The flaw is great wrestler matches between great wrestlers. That is the AEW flaw. And I think sometimes, we do take a step back and go, we have to, how amazing it is that we live in that world. But the booker's job and everything else's job, and often the wrestler's job in the build-up, is to add to that and add to that presentation. And like I say, we're not kids. We're not going to necessarily cheer the goodies and boo the baddies. But like watching any film, you're going to be still going to be invested. There's still going to be that part of you that like can be willing to go along with whatever the outcome of the story is. And maybe it's also, like I think we said last time, a little bit of a symptom of the fact that All In's around the corner, and it's we're going to fucking ramp it up for All In. But then also, why did this pay-per-view need to exist? Contractually obligated, content for content's sake, as Andy said in the chat there aside, like, it wasn't needed at all, was it? Like, I'm even looking forward to like the pay-per-view calendar for us for when we're doing podcasts, and like they haven't put one between All Out and Full Gear, and there's only going to be a 3-week window for them to be able to do one. But they fucking will. That'll be Wrestle Dream. Like that, it hasn't been announced yet, so of course it will be. There's even rumours about that being in Canada too, and potentially being Cope's retirement. I'd be into that. But it'd be another short turnaround, and that's also part of it. They have become less special. They're not selling any less, though, are they? And they're not delivering any less. So like it's almost like they get away with it, don't they? But like they are massively pushing the luck, and that's the AEW story in 2026.
The thing is with this, if it'd been like, all right, all guns, whatever, to get it All In, which is what, a month away, 5 weeks away, or something like that. Surely you've got a pay-per-view like on the way, and I know they will do some things on the night, with obviously Moxley and Ospreay or whatever. There will be things that feed into ultimately what happens at that pay-per-view, but it feels like they could have made this pay-per-view work harder to then work into like All In by knowing what their matches are now, and it been something where like somebody loses here or something happens to somebody here, which means that then the consequences that becomes a stip for a match at All In, makes it justifiable that it's a cage match or a fucking whatever kind, whatever match kind of thing at All In. It feels like it's almost like, we'll get past Redemption, and then we might do some things on the night at Redemption that then that's day one almost leading towards like all In. It sort of just it just feels just disjointed, and given that the TV now has had that bit of a lull for me personally, kind of for probably 2 to 3 months now, where outside of some small elements, it feels like they were maybe a bit undecided about what that main event is, or what certain matches there, who we're going to have at our disposal to even put in those matches. I don't know. We have title changes now with like Fletcher beating Takeshita and things like. Again, that's obviously it's going to feed into something that we then get that match. It's probably a 3-way or whatever with Takeshita and Okada at All In or something like that. But again, I don't even think like something like that's been worked and milked hard enough to have your front of your seats leading into that. Like like that title change happens, and like legit, like again, maybe it's just my old man grey matter kind of thing, but like a week later when I watched Dynamite, like they did a little recap, and I was like, oh yeah, Fletcher beat him, and I was like, oh yeah, forgot that title change hands kind of, and I'm like, how did I forget that one of my favourite wrestlers beat another of my favourite wrestlers for a title? And then it was like, ask me which title it is. Like, I'd be like put in the dark as to if I'm gonna, 90% that I get it right, but a 10% might be wrong. I don't know. It just doesn't, like, even something like that should have importance and should have gravitas and things like that.
Gravitas is the other key word.
It feels like it's just not. It feels like it's just a thing that just happened on TV to fill that 25-minute slot. And yeah, it was a 4.5-star match, like great kind of thing. But like another one, there's the 500-star match that we've had on TV from AEW in the last 3 years, kind of thing. And then that's where I'm at in my brain. I'm a little bit like, well, when 4.5-star matches sort of start to become something that you're staring at your TV screen and glazing over as you're watching them, because wrestling is just perfectly happening in front of your eyes in a perfectly executed way that has got no reason for it to be happening, something like that, then what are we even doing? Like there's got to be a middle ground somewhere. It can't just be great wrestlers having great matches. There's got to be some juice behind it, because the best of AEW has always had some element of juice behind it. And then going back and thinking about, just I don't know. You think back a few years ago. You think of stuff with like the promos with Punk and Eddie Kingston, things, different things. Like it just felt like promos were used better. They meant more. They had more something to them and things. I don't know, like whether it's people are just not capable of delivering it, or it's not been, the booking's not been right with the right people, or they're not been told to say the right things, or whatever. I don't know. There's this big hole in the middle of the product right now for me.
Yeah, I mean, the title scene right now is Kevin Knight, who's still getting there as a promo, as a wrestler in every way. Might be a reason not to have him in your world title match, but we can get to that. And it's Kenny Omega, who's not known for his talking, and Ospreay, who is surprisingly good at talking, but hasn't had a good couple of weeks. So, like, yeah, we're at your promo guys, are your Hangmans, are your Swerves, your MJFs, and they're not on telly. Like, I think that speaks to the conversation we had earlier. You're missing those pieces, but I mean, to get into like this week's show, I suppose, and then we can get into the pay-per-view a little bit more. We won't spend too much time on the ins and outs, to be honest. We'll talk mainly the main stuff. But like, this was their last chance to get me invested in that title scene. And like Omega, Ospreay, and Moxley against the Callis family was a fun, well-worked main event. And I giggled at Omega, walking up behind Ospreay and Omega backstage and that whole thing. And there's still part of me that's entertained by all that. It's still, to me, a major distraction when your biggest babyface is, going to your WrestleMania for his title shot. But, it's something to cling on to, at least, that's on the TV here. Like, mostly enjoyed that. But it did feel a little bit like, and again, I don't want to turn this into a massive AEW moment, but like, contractually obligated heel beatdown at the end of the show, and Kevin Knight is holding up both belts as well as Kenny Omega's head as if he's got a snowball chance in hell. Like, he just hasn't, has he? Like, he just hasn't. You haven't. And it's not even, I suppose you could, it's Tony Khan, so I guess you could. I said that about Samoa Joe, didn't I? So I should be careful with my words. But like, you've also, same thing with the Samoa Joe thing, you haven't built someone or booked someone or all of the other, things that you need to do to get someone to the position where they could beat a Kenny Omega, and for it to be something that meant something. Imagine doing that before the All-In match. Like, it's just like, it's proper, like, again, you said it before, paint by numbers, like what you do when you go home show to a pay-per-view. The heel beats down the babyface, and what's going to happen at the pay-per-view? And it's like, well, yeah, we're all old enough to know that means that the babyface is going to win at the pay-per-view, and we already knew that already. So like, it's even more apparent, isn't it, that like it's not coming. It's like our friend Michael Sidgwick says over there with Hamlet, like, heat for the sake of heat, doing things for the sake of doing things that you do in wrestling, and that was you go home. And I just think they were already on like a hard to not with that entire thing. I just don't think Kevin Knight is at that level yet. He can be at that level. And people will kid themselves, go, well, you've got to give him the chance. This isn't a chance. He's going to lose, and then he's going to be back into the mid-card doing Don Callis family stuff. This isn't a step up for him. This is a pay-per-view stopgap match that should have been a Dynamite match, and unfortunately, it felt like that in the go-home to me. I enjoyed this match with Darby Allin. We can get into that too. But part of me was like, well, that should have been the pay-per-view match. Even Speedball probably should have been the pay-per-view match. Like, yeah. What were your thoughts on all of that? And yeah, did they do anything to quell your lack of investment in that top-line match? It's just not a main event, is it? It's just got to be said.
I'm like sat looking at it, and I'm like, why has Kevin Knight even got this match? Like, so he's the TNT champion, so he's got the second lowest singles belt in the company. Like in theory, the international title and the continental a better belt. So, like, I think, I think in the
national as well, Mark Davis as well.
Like, so that's the bottom one. Like, so yeah, I think it's the one that's one step above that. But then, so Kevin Knight, he attacked Darby Allin, and then costing him to like MJF, and then so Kevin Knight's been feuding with Darby Allin a bit, and then but MJF was going to give him a title shot, but now MJF hasn't got the belt. So then Kevin Knight's like, well, I'm due a title shot because like MJF was going to give me one, and Kenny Omega's like, all right, go on, then you have one, kind of like, and I'm like, what? Like, that's your main event kind of thing. Is so mid-card title holder attacked 2 champions ago champion. Was supposed to be having a heel versus heel match against MJF, and is now just getting a match with Kenny Omega because he's now happens to be the guy who's got the belt. And
Kenny Omega's only pay-per-view defense, most likely at that too.
I look at it, and obviously you've got the whole Mox thing going on there, and then you've got the overlap with Ospreay. I'm like, could they not have done something more interesting here with Moxley and Ospreay and Omega? That this is like, people
Moxley
might
Omega was the one.
Moxley in the minute. Moxley Omega is a big match. Like, that is a big match, even in 2026 in Canada. Kenny Omega defending the title against Moxley and beating him, to go into Wembley. Like, it just makes sense to me that there's like, after the whole Mox thing, it should have. With Ospreay, it should have been Mox coming out of it like, all right, yeah, well, I'd hoped you get to this point, but I want to be the fucking champ, like, basically, kind of thing, and
you believe that, wouldn't you? Even if it wasn't the plan, the tease that Moxley wins and it's Ospreay Moxley at Wembley, you'd believe it. You'd be like, it could do that, that could happen. That could happen. Hopefully, it wouldn't, but it could.
Yeah, puts a bit of doubt in your mind, makes you think about what it could be. This is just a foregone conclusion. Like, you just, again. I'm 100% certain Kevin Knight is not beating Kenny Omega here and going into Wembley to main event Wembley to try and sell ticket sales as, been Will Ospreay's big moment, beating Kevin Knight. No, that's it. That ain't happening. Like, so what's the point of this match? Why should anybody care about it? And then, like you say, the stuff after the bell and things like that, it's the most, it is auto booker, EWR.
Yeah. Absolutely. We all did it as well, and Tony did it, and now he's doing it in real life. Simon's right there, by the way. It could be worse. It could have been Jack Perry, which we did get with. Remember, Danielson's only pay-per-view defense on the way to All In was Jack Perry. Was that pay-per-view or was that TV? I'm hoping it was a pay-per-view. I know, but I'm wrong, but I feel like it was. Fucking hell. But yeah, they didn't do much to build it. And yeah, like I say, I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. Like, I really feel like that Moxley opening was right there. Like I said to Matty, though, Moxley would have to lose a pay-per-view match, so maybe that would have been the issue. I don't know, but much better path. Even if I'm willing to forget, I'm willing to say, maybe this all along Redemption. The reason it's called that, it was going to be an MJF Kenny rematch, and they lost that. Plan B wasn't good enough, and I wonder whether it's going to be reflected in the numbers there as well. Did you get any joy out of Darby and Kevin Knight? Again, could have been the pay-per-view match easily. Solid, proper level. That's the other thing about Kevin Knight as well. It's not even just. Like, you're right, the logic of getting him to the match is a problem, but it's just the inconsistency for me. Like, he did close a pay-per-view, costing Darby Allin. Like, that was a big end to a pay-per-view, and I guess you could say, oh, well, there you go, that signals he's going to be a main event guy. But then he was immediately downcycled, wasn't he? The week after, he was cutting his own middling promo in the middle of the show, TNT title level stuff, as we've seen. Then he was put with Don Callis' family, and he's one of the 3 or 4 guys that are near the top on that. And again, that strife, I'm sure, is going to pay off at the pay-per-view, and we're probably getting some kind of multi-person at the pay-per-view afterwards. But, like, he was very much, feuding with Darby, half feuding, kind of, with Speedball still, that issue quite hadn't died, had a certain level in the cards. And now it's just, no, he's here again. He was always here, what are you on about? Like, it's just been so inconsistent, whereas this Darby stuff was perfect for him. Like, it's like, again, Benno and Hamlet talking about fucking Rock and Triple H feuding in the mid-card, and, and then one day we're going to see them do it at the top, like, perfect mid-card feud for both of them. Perfect mid-card feud for Kevin Knight. It's Darby Allin, isn't it? Like, and it was good. I enjoyed it on Dynamite. I don't want to, do it down too much. It just felt odd for it to be where it was.
100%. Like, that just makes it's the most simple sense in the world, where I'm saying, like, why is why is Kevin Knight in this match? Yeah, like, because it doesn't make any sense for him to be in that match. The match for him to be in with is Darby Allin, because that is how he ended a pay-per-view, and that is how we've done the heel turn, and he's got the belt. And like, how do you justify a former world champion been in there having a match with a TNT, champion? This isn't Bret Hart going after the TV belt. It's a guy here who's got a fucking legitimate desire and claim to have a match with this person because of a reason of what happened at the pay-per-view to be in there. And like, it makes the most sense for Darby Allin, it makes the most sense for Kevin Knight, and even the Don Callis side of things. Like, they've even started to like half tease like Kevin Knight having a bit of dissension with the Don Callis family in the last couple of weeks, and it's a bit like, so he did a adequate, perfectly fine promo. The week later, not terrible, fine. You want to give him a chance to find his own voice. Pair him up with Callis family. Now we're quickly pivoting out of that, but he's in the mid card with Darby Allin, but we're pushing the main event of this pay-per-view. Like, they're not doing Kevin Knight any favours at all. There's a lad there who looks like he's got like potential to, not today, like, but in 18 months' time to be at the top level in the fucking let him get there, kind of, and give him. They should have just been pouring flames on the Darby Allin stuff all of this time. That could have been something that was really compelling TV, that was building to a big match here, that then, like, Kevin Knight wins and sets up a stick match, like equivalent to what I was talking about before, right? Like, all in some fucking, mad stakes or something like that that's in there, or mad match type. But it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make any logical sense.
It could have been compelling, but then also he could have just got more booby traps. So I'm not sure which I prefer. But yeah, a serious version of that.
Inspector Gadget these days. Fucking hell. Like, honestly.
Sometimes you listen to Darby 90% of the time. That might be the 10% you don't listen to when he talks about bringing his inventions to TV. But yeah, unless you got more on that, quickly the other stuff on the show. Anything on Brodido, Proto, Carter? Obviously, again, laying the seeds for. Again, Bandido, tag team wrestler, as we've learned in AEW, but apparently he's got a singles match. But obviously Fletcher, Okada, the stuff with obviously Andrade, and I'm sure Kevin Knight's probably going to get dragged into it as well. Remains the focus. There was some fun to be had there. I did enjoy Carl Fletcher and Okada's little interactions, and Okada's little mischievous face letting us know what might come.
Yeah, like, it's just like, I know, Brodido are back together now, aren't they? They're having.
They are, but they're not. But he's also got a singles shot, the ROH World Champion, for his third pay-per-view. It's not in a row, but like in the last 6 months, going after a mid-card belt that he's going to lose. The ROH Champion, who's in a tag team.
So like, I don't know. And it's like, okay, it's like we're sprinkling seeds towards the Fletcher Okada stuff now and things in the future, and like. Again, it just feels like it was there to me, kind of thing. This one, again, it didn't feel like there was loads there to sort of, feed into like any excitement around this, this particular match like happening and coming at the pay-per-view with Kyle and Bandido. It just felt like very similar to 50% of the other kind of, match endings or reasons for matches to be happening in the last couple of weeks there. It's like, what do we oh, potential beatdown or whatever, somebody comes and makes the save, kind of like, or somebody doesn't make the save. Like, it's almost like we've got this little tunnel here that we're allowed to kind of like operate and create in. Can we just paint outside these lines a bit and think a bit differently? Like,
the only other notable segment I'd say on Dynamite, we can cover the rest in the going through the pay-per-view matches, but Foley doing the face-to-face with Tekla and Willow Nightingale. Did you get anything out of that? Nice to see Foley back on TV. Seems like he's going to be a regular. Not a bad role for him overall. Little bit all over the place this for me. In a good way sometimes with Tekla. That's what I like about it often. It's the unpredictability. Willow almost seemed to struggle to match her energy a little bit, but in the end they got the job done. Again, we can talk about the match itself later, but yeah, fair enough. Feels like we're on a better foot, I think, with Tekla, as like her performances haven't matched who they've booked her with, and Willow's a good opponent, even if, like I say, I'm gonna have some questions about who goes over. But yeah, that was probably the other major thing on the show.
again, that feels like one that's okay. We are starting something here, and then these are two people who feel like big stars in the division. They feel like, again, there's elements of that interaction that did feel like a bit of clunky, but like Tekla's gonna be great when she's out there on camera. Willow's gonna always have the crowd behind her and things. So it's just there was that like natural connection that came over. It came over quite well. There's sort of the trying to build that like similarity between Mick Foley and Willow and things like that, which kind of does work on a certain level and things cut through. But it definitely feels like, okay, well, this needs to be it's the start of something with them, and that's where okay, well, we might hopefully see a bit more kind of creativity and thought going into bringing these two together, because undoubtedly they're top tier people who should be putting good stuff on television there, going forward. So it's probably one of the things on the show that I probably stood out to me more. Like if you said to me what was on the show, that was probably the first thing that I'd probably thought of that came to mind really. And again, felt a bit different, and again, a big part of that is just Tekla's delivery and the way she goes about that. But it's just nice for her to see, like, they just need to be pushed together, and this just to be like some proper feud, because we've talked about Tekla just having the belt but really not having anything of any substance to go behind it since she's had the belt. Really, Willow's someone who they've bundled off into the tag division for a bit kind of thing, and just sort of traded water with for quite a long time. For she deserved more than she got, probably at a singles level for quite a long time period there. So here you go. This is can't miss for me. Like Willow and Tekla, they're all like they're the antithesis of each other in a lot of ways, and they should this should be something that can't miss. So don't miss, because I love them both.
I'm worried about Tekla as far as where she fits into the I was going to say Mania plans, then all-in plans, if they go the way it looks like they're going, but we can chat that in a minute. And outside that on Dynamite, Jay White beat Clark on us. I'm not going to force a take out here on that one. We'll talk the pay-per-view match it's set up in a moment. And we also had their Divine Dominion beating their sisters just on the show. So not the most notable of Dynamites, unless your kind of notable includes the Painmaker Chris Jericho and his fucking vignette. But again, more on him now. We've obviously also got Collision coming up this weekend, which was already taped. We will spoil a little bit of Collision when it comes to the pay-per-view lineup, but it's only these ladder match qualifiers, so you're not missing much. But yes, there are ladder match qualifiers on Collision with El Clona versus Leo Rush and Nick Wayne versus AR Fox. You're going to guess who wins those in a minute. And also Sheether and Tekla versus Willow and Maya Weld is on that show. Remember it? More on air as well in a moment. Young Bucks Death Riders is on the show, the Utah and Garcia version. Zachary Wentz versus Tommaso Ciampa. Conglomeration versus Dalton Castle and the Outrunners. The Lethal Twist versus Skyflight, which sounds like a threat, is also on the show. Plus Persephone in action, but if that's not enough for you on Saturday, Sunday, as we mentioned, is AEW Redemption, coming from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Like I say, hopefully a couple more thousand people do get themselves over there. Maybe they'll need to really discount the tickets to get there. But speaking of which, mate, to run through the card, and we'll give some predictions. Mentioned it there. We've got the Bang Bang Gang in the match that I'm assuming is on the pre-show. Jay White and Juice Robinson versus the Dogs, but it's probably not, is it, with it being a chain match? So, look forward to that one, mate, and who you're expecting to win, and then we'll go through the rest.
I mean, what I would say is when I'm looking down the card, this is one of those that they have put a bit of effort into, haven't they? Like over the TV, over the last month or so. If you look at this match, you go like, all right, well, yeah, there's a justification for these to be having a match on the pay-per-view, because it's something that's bled through TV for so many weeks, and they have sort of heated up that feud between them, and whether it's beatdowns or vignettes or actual matches and stuff like that, they have put things in place for this one. So while I personally have not necessarily excited about it, just because I've got no interest in these two teams as a whole, at least you can see why it's got a place on the card, this match, and I think it makes sense to be there. I think it's right for sort of Jay White just to ease his way back
safe
in
pair of hands for him.
At this level. He definitely stands out in amongst all of these people. I think through all the segments, he's got that feeling of this is the star kind of in amongst this whole group of people as they've been doing things, which I think is a big plus for him. So for me, this could easily be something where it just carries through, and they have like that other, they have the match at All In. So in which case, I could see the Dogs getting the win from that point of view. Equally, it might be, let's give Jay White a win and he can move on. Kind of, let's push him further forward. So this could go either way for me. But my main point with this one is at least there's a justifiable reason for it to be on the pay-per-view.
And I think, like we were talking about this week, when you're in there with your mates, it gets a bit snugger. I think they will be going quite snug. They'll be taking care of Jay White, obviously, but I think there'll be a little bit of blood in this, and I think it will probably be better than maybe some are expecting, looking just at the overall name. Not even the names on the sheet, it's almost like the stables on the sheet, because all the individual wrestlers are quite good. But yeah, they'll be setting up Jay and David Finlay as a singles at some point, so I'm going to go with the Dogs. I think it could happen to set that up later on. And maybe just Robinson takes the pin, and we get Jay's big comeback match at a later date. But yeah, unless you got more on that, AEW International title number one contendership 6-way ladder match. I just got this pay-per-view needed. As I mentioned, spoiling Collision a little bit. It's got and cover your ears if you don't want to know who's in this. The Beast Mortos versus Helcon, Mike Bailey, Jack Perry, Commander, and Nick Wayne. And Gareth was covering his ears there, and it's not because he doesn't want to have spoilers, he just doesn't want to hear who's in this. But screams not you, this, mate. But yeah, Nick Wayne still works for AEW. Isn't that some great news, as does Helcon? Apparently Mystico was planned for this, but he was unfortunately injured, or he pulled a Shawn Michaels to get out of it. Could be either.
Oh, what a shame. I won't be able to hear nobody singing along to his song.
No, we got club match later, mate. We'll be talking. Any guess on who wins and who cares? Like Speed, I know you don't like him, but like if it's Montreal, like they have to give Speedball something, and I think he could win here, plausibly. Maybe Jack Perry is getting more of a shove. Might make a little bit more sense. I don't know, but I don't know. Choose your picky poison, mate. Out of those two, I think you picked Nick Wayne, wouldn't you? Out of it, if I was giving you them options.
I'm going Beast Mortos all day long on this one. If I had to have
who got his visa sorted, apparently.
Who I want to win the match, but he won't win the match. But if probably will win the match. You're probably right. Mike Bailey probably will win the match. But if Mike Bailey wins this match, Mike Bailey should have been winning this match for a number one contendership at the TNT title against Kevin Knight.
Perfect.
After this, not for the international title, where randomly we're trying to set somebody up to have a match with Kyle Fletcher, who's already involved in a feud with Okada and Takeshita. So we're trying to create a reason for somebody to have a match with Kyle Fletcher. Like honestly, like that just feel this is a match that is created for no reason at all to be on a pay-per-view. There is a ladder match it's got steps and stakes to win a title match. There's no juice at all between any of the people in there. Not as far as I'm concerned, unless something happens on Collision, or if somebody can correct me. I don't even know if half of these have even interacted with each other on TV in the last 12 months.
Just the qualifiers, yeah.
At all. So, like this is almost like the perfect example to me of why does this even exist? Why could we not have put some effort into television to make this match matter for any reason other than we're having this match, don't qualify for it. There you go, you're in the match. And what was the story and the reason for this? Oh, the qualifiers, and why they're trying to qualify so they can have a title shot at this guy who,
you'd probably give you one for free if you ask nicely, Well,
that's come out and go so said I could have a title shot. Oh, did they? Yeah, when they were the champ, go on, you can have a title match. Go on. You were supposed to have one with that ex-champ, so you can have one. It feels like that.
It's just like the ladder matches, it was the original casino insert battle royal reverse whatever, all the 7 different variations that Tony does. This is the other one, isn't it? Ladder matches. We haven't seen it in a little while. I'm surprised it's not not the grab the brass ring. What's it used to be? What was the ladder match originally in AEW? You were grabbing something weird, weren't you? It was like a casino chip or something.
Yeah. No, well, but they had the big ring as well up there.
It was something like that. Oh, well, yeah.
Jack Perry wins because he's signed his new contract and he's talking about being a main eventer. So
he feels the most pushed. I don't know. And again, I'm the Mike Bailey guy, but even Kevin Knight should be on the show. If it wasn't him and Darby, it should be him and Kevin Knight in a big rematch because they've still been teasing it. If anything, they were doing the backstage stuff. Remember with him and Kenny, and he was whispering to Kenny and stuff. I'm not saying I would have championed it massively, but it did feel like they were setting up a 3-way, which would at least plausibly make a little bit of sense in story. But yeah, maybe Tony changed his mind last minute. But That's on the show. I'll go with Jack Perry with you. No, I'll go with Bailey just to make things different. But that takes us into the TBS title match: Hikaru Shida versus Maya World. And like I noted earlier, mate, maybe maybe what we're realizing here is that the person booking the pay-per-views is not necessarily the person booking the telly, because somebody booked the end of that pay-per-view where Kevin Knight took out Darby Allin, was like main event player, putting him in the main event of the pay-per-view after next. Like Maya World, she had a great showing on pay-per-view. There you go, big pay-per-view match for the title on the next one, and then the TV in between just crickets. Like, this is another one. Why she got this title shot through running out, I think is the excuse. I'm not 100% certain. And yeah, she like very clearly had something, like not lightning in a bottle, but like a lot of goodwill to her coming out the pay-per-view. And of course she wasn't on Dynamite, and then of course she wasn't on Dynamite again, and of course now 4 weeks later they are giving us something on pay-per-view, but like, talk about not like capitalizing on it, on what they had there. And she's likely going to lose here too, isn't she? And you know, that could be forgiven if maybe they just put a little bit more effort into it to get here. But it's a match on the show, mate, and if the Mercedes match is anything to go by, probably a good one.
I mean, she did lose the gauntlet match to try and get a world title shot.
Perfect number one contender. So
you failed for that one. So you have to have a shot at Hikaru Shida's belt instead. Again, it's classic stuff. It's like she came out of that pay-per-view like hot, everyone talking about her, and yeah, she finds herself in a title match here. But if you could grill me now for an hour as to why she's having this match, like I literally have got no idea, and I've watched all the TV. Like you say, she run down, make a save, make something like
that's it.
Like
that's the logic.
Like, you know, like unreal. Like, girls, get ready to run out from the back. You'll be on the pay-per-view in the getting a
match and kill yourself. Just run out. Come on, that'll sort you. You don't need to qualify. None of this. Crazy. Yeah. Why didn't you anti-qualify? Assumably, Shida goes over. If they had any plans with My World, it would shock me if they put her over there now after the run she's had on TV since that last pay-per-view. But stranger things have happened in AEW. But yeah, Shida for me.
But Shida's all day long, surely.
That takes us into the AEW World Tag Team title match, and logical booking: Cage and Cope versus, let's just check out of the AEW list of tag teams, Claudio Castagnoli and Pac, mate. Again, the AEW World Tag Team.
They've been picking up them wins as a tag team, haven't they?
And this is worse because it was Cope and Christian challenging them. But that's like the old wrestlers, isn't it? That's Cope and Christian going, we need to justify this somehow, make it our idea, because then at least like you can say, well, they didn't earn it, but we wanted them, so we got them. Like, I don't know, like why? Like again, if I could reshuffle this card, it'd be Moxley versus Kenny in the main event, just to add a little bit of strife to the Ospreay story, and therefore you could put the Young Bucks in with Cage and Cope again, because I assume it's going to be Cage and Cope involved with the Young Bucks at All In, but I think that's going to be like a 3 or 4 team ladder match anyway, isn't it? So you could have got away with doing a singles here. Instead, it's this.
And something could have happened in that match to give them a reason for them to be involved in a
don't be silly. Don't be silly.
You could have thought of something creative in terms of the ending there, and somebody maybe runs in and costs the Bucks. That means that it's a 3-way or a 4-way at the pay-per-view next time around or something. But hey ho, yeah, let's just have it, because who did they face at the last pay-per-view? Cape and Cope.
Dogs won it.
Cage. Again, that was just challenge of the month, sort of thrown in there, mild justification for the match. Like, it's getting the justification for these people getting tag team title shots is just going less and less. Like, my World should have run out. She could have got involved in this one too.
Sorted. There you go. But yeah, Cage and Cope go over, and obviously, I mean, the Young Bucks have won loads of tag matches, but apparently aren't getting a tag title shot. But I feel like Moxley and Ospreay probably have earned one more than I think Death Riders have. But well, that's a match where Cage and Cope go over. No holds barred. Speaking of matches, mate, and I should say for anyone listening to us the first time, we do genuinely love AEW. Me and Gareth are the AEW truthers.
I was going to say, I'm an AEW homer.
We really are. Matty's audio cuts out on these types of podcasts, mate. He never hears us criticising the beloved AEW, but we've got to call a spade when it is, and this is a rough pay-per-view. Jericho, Tommaso Ciampa, no holds barred is on this thing, and yeah, I avoided talking about it too much before, but obviously on Dynamite they did the whole Painmaker video, and I get this is like a 4th attempt to try to make the Painmaker a thing post New Japan. It's not a thing, mate. It's not a thing anyone remembers. Like, to just get away with doing it because you're Chris Jericho and Tony Khan listens to you. Like, match will probably be all right. I hope Ciampa goes over, and I hope it's not a case of Jericho losing the TV match but winning on pay-per-view. But outside of that, like, I don't need this in my life, mate. I really don't. No holds barred, though, so, yeah. I feel like was the Dynamite match not no holds barred? I feel like there was, I guess at least, I guess it was holds barred, but they were using stuff anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best scenario for a Jericho match in 2026 is for it to be no holds barred, so there can be some bullshit and, you know, brawling on the outside and bits and bobs to probably get more out of the match than they would if they're having like a straight up wrestling match here. I'm intrigued because Ciampa's been getting good reactions from the crowd, I think, on TV. Like, his music has been getting a pop. Like, people know that tune, you know, when the first line happens, and then like when he's been coming out, he's been getting decent cheers. I know he's in Canada here against Jericho, and like there's going to be that lean on that side of things. But I feel like it'd be interesting to see how things go from that standpoint. But again, it feels like it's a match that who could possibly want to watch? Who could possibly want to watch this on a pay-per-view in 2026? To be fair to Tommaso Ciampa, I didn't want him to come to AEW, but I think he's put decent work in. I think he's done like enough to get himself over and get them reactions with the crowd. So, like fair fucks from that point of view with him. And I think he'll probably drag something remotely watchable out of this one. I think he's done. It's essentially been a one-man build, hasn't it, on TV, really, with Ciampa's like involvement and stuff. So I think he's done good work himself into build towards this match. At least there is a reason for this match to be happening. But yeah,
I am not a Ciampa guy either. I wouldn't have brought him in, but his work's been good enough, and he's fit in well. And I actually now think that it would be a travesty if he lost this. I think he wouldn't deserve it, would he? Like, for Jericho, for the sake of what? So Jericho can have another, like, a mild program for the next pay-per-view window? Like, we're past the need for that. Like, I'd just put Ciampa over there, 100%. Let's hope that's happening. I'll go with that as my prediction.
But Ciampa beat him, didn't he, the first time, didn't he?
He did, yeah, on TV. So which felt like it was done. Thought it was over.
Yeah, Jericho wins, like, in Canada, and hopefully it's one of those where Ciampa can fail up kind of thing in terms of with the work that he's put into it. Yeah, he might lose the pin here, but he's shown enough that, he can get something a bit more interesting to do, next time around. But equally, if he was never on my TV again, I wouldn't care.
Oh, AEW, we love it. AEW national title.
Sorry, mate, I'm dragging you down today. I should be in a good mood after my week.
Feels sad. Feels sad.
Do you know what? I've been watching lots of. You know what? I've been watching so many films. I've been watching excellent script writing and things like that. Along the way. So maybe my brain's just conditioned into a better artistic place this week.
Honestly, every time I think, okay, we'll turn a corner now. There's this match. Like, it's the cards. It is absolutely the cards because the next match, AEW national title, mate, Mark Davis versus Andrade. It's just doing a pay-per-view. Like, I love Andrade, but like, I'm glad Mark Davis has got a little push. But there's already 12 matches. Like, what are we doing? I assume Andrade goes over and gets the other trinket, the national title, like you said, the 5th most important trinket in the men's division. Great, but that's probably happening, isn't it? There you go. That's a match on the show.
And you know what? I'm going to love every minute of this match. This is going to be the classic on when we're reviewing it. Like,
it's true.
What a great time I had watching Davis against Andrade because I love them both. But to bring it back to from a booking standpoint of like getting here and like Andrade was pissed off in the Don Callis family because he wanted world title shots, and he was, and the focus of the major titles was going to other people within the Don Callis family. So, Andrade wanted to go and be his, own man and sort of escape because he thought he deserved world title shots. So what do? We escape from the Don Callis family, and what we're doing is we're putting you in at the lowest possible title that you could possibly be in for, and Andrade's supposed to be happy about this. And okay, he's been getting attacked by the Don Callis family because he's left and beat, Davis. Oh, guess what? Surprise, surprise! He beat him up backstage. What a unique way to get to a match. As somebody battered somebody backstage. What a fucking wild left field thought process that went into putting that booking together, and like so it's justifiable on that basis. But like really, like it's Andrade shouldn't be getting pitched at this level based on where his character has been at and based on his whole motivation to no longer be part of the Don Callis family either. Like
it'd be a net negative for him to be walking around with that belt, won't it? Like it will.
Oh,
like
he can't
it's
win that
funny.
He can't win it, but if he loses it, then he's lost for the worst belt. Like
yeah, no win situation. It's like the national belt I was okay with when it was the Ricochet belt. There was something about it being attached to him. It almost felt like $1 million belt type of situation, didn't it? When it was like, oh, that's the Ricochet belt, it's fine. But now that it's just in the mix with all the other ones, it's just, and usually with Don Callis family guys, it's not adding, it's subtracting. And I'd have to go with Mark Davis then, because like, I would just like to hope that Andrade isn't winning the belt that low, but that's not great either. But I'll go with Davis. There you go.
Well, he won't be coming out of it and going after the international title or anything like that against Kyle Fletcher, one of the major belts, because there's a 6-man ladder match that's taking place amongst some people who should be wrestling at national title level, who are actually having a match to try and win an opportunity at the better title level that Andrade should actually be wrestling for. Like, talk about disjointed. If you should like Nick Wayne should be going for the national title. At this, that's the
on
level.
ROH.
That's the level he's at. Fucking. Your commanders, your El Colons, that was the level that Jack Perry was at, kind of. Like, this joint doesn't make sense.
I mean, you're saying that, mate, like this next match is a foregone conclusion. Kyle Fletcher, Bandido, AEW International title. Who are you to doubt Bandido? We could see Bandido versus Nick. Wait, no, we're not going to, are we? Kyle Fletcher over. We've already talked there. That'll be good. Better be good, though. Better be good match. It's Bandido, baby. Of course it will. Poor fella.
Absolutely brilliant. Why is this match happening? Why is this match happening again? Sorry, I can't. Like, what?
Bandido. Did he pin him in a tag? That was this week, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure before that. I think he asked him. No, he challenged him. He can't fetch him and go on then. In the promo.
Can I have a match? Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah. How many of these? Like, fuck. Jesus.
Oh. But yeah, we agree. Fletcher over. Could even just do Brody just to mix it up. Like Brody's pretty much Bandido when he's same level, lose the same types of matches. At least it's different though. Like it's different than what you did literally last month. But anyway, Thatcher over. We're agreed on that. Women's world title, Tekla Willow. Like you said, enjoyed the promo at least. Enjoy the fact that it's 2 stars against each other. And to the point I was going to raise earlier, but I saved it for here. I'm worried about Tekla here. I think Willow and Mercedes is the path of least resistance for the pay-per-view. We talked about it, didn't we? Like we were trying to work out who'd be the babyface if it was Tekla versus Mercedes. And you probably heard in the week since I've kind of soured on that a bit because it's like, well, one of them would have to be cheered there. And Mercedes is an uphill battle, and Tekla, it feels too soon for it to start getting cheered, I think. I'd rather she wasn't put in that situational babyface position, but leaves it a bit out in the cold, doesn't it? Unless they're doing a 3-way or something. So yeah, I'm guessing Willow goes over, but don't love it for Tekla. It makes me a little bit disappointed on her behalf.
It feels nailed on for a 3-way because I just can't see. Obviously, Mercedes is in that match because of the Owen guy. Like yeah. If Willow isn't in that match, then she's got nothing. Well, that doesn't matter. I'm thinking too much.
Do you want to book the match, Gareth? That's the question.
I was going to say, like, Tekla will be in that title match at Wembley.
I hope so.
because she's deserved it, and clearly they know like the level she's operating at with the amount of TV time that they're giving her, so they see that in her. I just think, again, my brain was going to, well, what are they going to do with Willow if she doesn't? Oh yeah, she'll just be in a conglomeration 8-man multi-tag or something like that. If she's not in that main event, we'll just give her that. But it's 3-way all day long. It's got to be, especially because of the heel versus heel side of things with Mercedes and Tekla. You've got to have Willow in there. So I say Tekla.
As the babyface.
I say Tekla wins here. Mercedes shenanigans in some way leads to the 3-way that gives Willow justification to
Interesting.
Be still in the match. I would say at Wembley.
I'll go the reverse. I think Willow wins, but Tekla wins away. And But I'd take that, to be honest. I think that's many situations I wouldn't take a 3-way. I'd take a 3-way, yeah, I think I would, because for every reason you mentioned, of course Mercedes should be in the big match, but Tekla should be too. I think that's the way to do it. Agreed. Tag team match: Young Bucks versus Death Riders. Moxley and Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. Hey, this will be great. Of course it will. It'll be great. Already talked what I'd rather do with this lot, but hey, I'll happily sit down and watch them for 25 minutes, mate. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Moxley and Ospreay accidentally bumping into each other or something during this.
Miss Elizabeth's going to take a bump on the outside. It's all going to kick off. Who's Miss Elizabeth in this scenario? Yuta? I don't know.
It's
Marina, I guess.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good because again, like you put Will Ospreay in the ring with the fucking Young Bucks. Of course, it's going to be amazing. Like from that point of view, they've just got to have something well thought out and clever here to go with the Mox Ospreay thing. Because if nothing happens here, on the same way that nothing happened as a result of the whole Mox Death Riders stuff, like the expected fallout of that, that's just fallen out of the wayside. They can't let two things go, in this particular direction. They've got to do something good with Mox and Ospreay. They've surely had a thought process about where this was going to go when they paired them up in the first place, kind of, and decided to make this a fundamental part of TV for a sustained time period. So you'd like to think that there's going to be, as well as it been an excellent match that's been thrown together, then there's got to be something from a story beat point of view that really kind of put some flames on things.
Heel Ospreay leading the Death Riders, mate, at the end of Wembley, like Steve Austin at WrestleMania, whatever number that was with Vince McMahon. I hope not. 17, wasn't it? I hope not. I really hope not. I don't know. I just don't trust anything ever develops with the Death Riders. If Simon's in the chat, I'm sure he'll say it. Like, there just never is anything, is that? Like, I agree, there's got to be at some point. But I almost think we're too close to the pay-per-view now, and I honestly think it'll either happen at All In or post All In to give Ospreay a challenger. Until then, we're just doing this. Like, I really do think. But like you say, maybe it is, the fact that they're in there with the Bucks, the fact that there's a little bit of build on Dynamite this week, maybe they have got an ace up the sleeve. But I expect a great match at the very least. I expect the Young Bucks to go over because obviously they're going to be doing something tag related at All In. So yeah, maybe that lends credence, like you say, to the possibility of shenanigans. Something's got to lead to Moxley and Ospreay losing, at least, hasn't it? So yeah. maybe that's on your side too. But yeah, it'd be great though, wouldn't it? Great match. And speaking of which, Kenny Omega, Kevin Knight. We've already talked it through, really, haven't we? Kenny Omega goes over. Not much more to say, is there? Like, I don't even know what you could do that could make this interesting. I think, to tell you what, it definitely shouldn't be last. Because there's just no jeopardy, no strife, no real post-match angle you could do here, unless it links to something with the Death Riders. I'd put this on third from the top, honestly. And either give Tekla Willow the spot, or I guess you could give it to Young Bucks Death Riders. Tekla Willow, here's your chance, Tony. Call them a triple main event, because you haven't got a main event. And then you can put any of them on top, and Tekla Willow could pull it off. Don't want to see it last. Sure, it'll be a very good Kenny Omega match, because it's Kenny Omega against a capable worker in Kevin Knight, but I don't expect it to be anything past that. And yeah, talked all the reasons why already.
No, you're right. It shouldn't go on last. And then if actually, if you're thinking about like the Bucks and the Death Riders and something potentially there, you kind of almost like, if there is shenanigans at the end, there's something between Mox and Ospreay that hands the win to the Bucks, you almost half want it to be Kenny's got involved in some way, don't you, sort of thing, and Kenny's accidentally done something between Mox and Ospreay that's then led to the Bucks winning, because then it ties into the Bucks-Kenny relationship. It ties into the main event of All In with the Ospreay-Kenny relationship and the interrelationship with Mox. That feels like it makes sense, but you can't have Kenny getting involved before he's in the main event, like later on. So it feels to me like it shouldn't go on last. And I'd be totally supportive of put Willow and Tekla on last. Put Bucks against Mox and Ospreay as like your semi-main, because it's not for a title or anything like that. But yeah, put Willow and Tekla on last. Go for it.
Definitely, and that's the show. And like I say, folks, got to call a spade when it's there. Not a great pay-per-view, But if you want to hear us with egg on our face, all you need to do is become a Patreon. Listen to the Spotlight review on Tuesday, where me and Gareth both put big smiles going, oh, how fucking good was it? Oh, no, those matches, they were so good. AEW's back. It's coming.
It was so well booked, I just didn't realise.
That we might never say. But the rest of it, the good wrestlers are good wrestling matches. Isn't wrestling great? And also, it took 8 hours to watch it. But we will probably say all those things on Tuesday on the Patreon review. But yeah, weakest AEW card of the year by far, at least as far as pay-per-view goes. And yeah, it bears out when you go through the match by match. But just to give you a quick overview of what else is going on this weekend before we get out of here, there is a G1 Climax continuing on. We have night 6 in Tokyo. Ibarra Wave, don't know what that is. Goto, Great Khan's on that. Sanada, Jake Lee, Takeshita, Oleg Bolton, Rohei Yuto Ice, who's been done dirty by the booking so far, in my opinion. And Shingo versus Yota Tsuji. Yota Tsuji losing to Sanada this week, which is a coupon buster for a few. Don't think there'll be a title match, but we'll see. Day 7 is also taking place, same venue the day after, on the 26th, which is a Sunday. Oscar versus Aaron Wolf. Hanare versus Ren Narita, Drilla Maloney versus Callum Newman, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Gabe Kidd, and Shota Umino versus Yua Yamura. And then Monday's one as well to throw it in. We have Jake Lee versus Oleg Bolton, Sanada versus Roihei Oiwa, Konosuke Takeshita versus Great Khan, Goto versus Shingo, and Yota Tsuji versus Yuto Ice. I'll enjoy that personally, but I think I know who's winning. Have you caught any of it, Gareth? Any of that get you excited? Sanada in his gold suit and his gold bolt and not get you going, no?
I haven't watched a second of this, and it shows where my head is at with New Japan. Is that when you read out the list there, I saw Goto versus Shingo, and I was like, "Oh, Goto Shingo," and I was like, "No, Gareth, it's not 2017. we're a long way."
Tony, you'd see that and see. Let's add 6 more people. I'm making a multi-man off of it. No, we can't. Great stuff.
Have you been enjoying it? Like, is it?
It's okay. I'm 2 days behind, so that's why I'm not going to do a full recap. But the highlight-wise, Yuto Ice and Oscar, like I'm into, but Yuto Ice has become like a drum they're beating now every night, and his story seems to be that. So maybe there's something to be invested in, but outside of that, yes, Tsuji and Sanada was better than you'd expect. Sanada, to be fair, he looks terrible, and I don't want to ever see him again, but he has been trying. I'll give him that. He looks doesn't look in the greatest of shape, but he's at least trying to keep up this G1. But other highlights, few and far between.
Still missing that moonsault?
Yes, of course. And, of course, it's still in the repertoire. Callum Newman still trying to get the character stuff going, and yeah, some positives, some negatives. Aaron Wolf, I'm starting to worry if he's ever going to get it, but yeah, not too much really, because like the first night was in America, and then there's only been 4 nights Japan side. So yeah, seen the first 2, but I'll catch up with the other ones at some point. I'm sure JP's watching as well, so we'll have a big old chat about that at some point. I imagine JP's also watching Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix, which rumbles on this weekend as well. Lady C versus Rina Yamashita highlights the Saturday show, as well as Hana Namata Hanabi versus Ann Kanaya and Emma Mishima, Sayaka Kura versus Maika, and Tomoku Inaba versus Azumi. I probably got 25% of those right, but they are all matches taking place on Saturday. And Sunday's got Sayaka Kurura versus Azumi, and Tomoko Inaba versus Maika also at the top. Also, Tokyo Joshi Pro Princess Cup is also taking place. It is tournament season right now over in Japan. That's got Miya Yamashita versus Rika Tatsumi as amongst the second round action. In America, Produce have got another show. I think this is an afternoon one, an afternoon special. Seems very Gareth, this promotion. The promoter seems like a dickhead, but I'm sure I see pretty dickheads, so maybe he's lovely both. Well, that's why you're hanging around with me, mate, so it all works out. Super Smash Brothers versus Fresh Air, Hazuki versus Lisa Hall, Darian Bengston versus Oni King, Tracy Williams versus Mance Warner. Any of that stand out for you, mate? I was going to say he tends to book wrestlers that I think Gareth likes, and then the more I go through that list, maybe not on this show. Maybe the next one.
Show.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I did see. I did. Again, that's another one that you see on my AEW, isn't it? And I saw the second show had like Lee Moriarty front and center on the poster.
Yes.
So I was like, oh yes, I'll be. I'll maybe try and get in early with the.
It's on my AEW too.
In fact,
so that benefit. And this show I'm mentioning, by the way, is in Montreal too. So at least someone's trying. Someone's trying to piggyback. So good. Good to see. Taking place. That one is Sunday.
There's half a chance I might check that out with me having a bit more time on my hands this remainder of this weekend, but we shall see.
There's a couple of CMLL shows taking place. Sabados de Coliseo over in Mexico. Dragon Rojo Jr. versus Barbaro Cavario. So that's taking place on the first night. Second night, also on. I think they're both on YouTube, or maybe it's. I think it's actually YouTube pay-per-view. So yeah, you have to put your hand in your pocket for it. Best out of two out of 3 falls. Angel de Oro and Soberano Jr. Teaming with Yatani versus Neon Star and Titan is at the top of that card. And also Flip Gordon still, I think, teaming with Star Black and Zula versus Los Infernales on that second show. Over in Europe, closer to home, we have Progress with a show this weekend, mate. 196 Scorchio. Love the references. From the Electric Ballroom, Nikki Storm versus Session Martina. Spectre Bay versus Bullets. Sam Miller versus Scott Oberman, who's getting a go. Velocities versus CPF. Joe Coffey versus Cougar. Alexis Falcon versus Rio. Gene Money versus Tommy Tanner. And Carrie Nora versus Charles Crowley. Yeah. You
Alexis Falcon against Rio.
Still progress. There you go. The women will save it, as has often been the case. Also running this weekend, TNT. I'm guessing you're not going. That's what you and Matty could be doing. It's it's tomorrow. Tate Mayfair versus Luke Jacobs, apparently, on that one. Lexus Falcon versus Lucy Sky. One of the other matches, too.
Bit of juice behind that match, isn't there? There's been a lot of online stuff between Lucy Sky and Alexis Falcon there. So, yeah, bit of juice there. Not enough juice to make me put my hand in my pocket and and make the 15-minute trip into town to go and watch it. But still, there's it exists.
It does. I don't think people go. I hope they all have a great time. No, I always had a fun time at TNT shows, so fair play. And also on top of that, Red Pro have got shows at the weekend. They are in Coventry at the HMP Empire. HMP? That sounds like a prison. That's a different type of British. HMV Empire. JJ Gale versus TK Cooper is on that. Robbie X versus Luke Jacobs is on the show. That's where I got it from. HMD versus Leon Slater is on that show. Good to see Leon. Still doing the rounds. Cage Mills and Joshua versus Caven. True and Lacey as well on the Coventry show. And they're also doing the Women's Grand Prix over the weekend. This is a Wolverhampton one as well. Escaped my radar. But yeah, Saturday and Sunday. Shayna Blazer, JGU, Jessica Troy, Kanji on one side of the brackets, and on the other side, Jungle Kiona, Emerson Jane, Zoe Serrano, and Zeusis. A name of weekend show listeners will know. Weekender listeners will know. And was there any interest in heading to that one? Interest in that running at the hangar? Yeah, hopefully they're expecting a big show up.
Yeah, and again, I think if I was going down to that, it'd be I'd need like the big social of knowing that we were going down there together for that one.
It's a big call, isn't it?
I'm so out of touch with, so out of touch with the Rev Pro product this year. But again, good on them. I'm sure it'll be a good venue. It's good to see them sort of like picking off some of these like different venues that they've been.
The Midlands is theirs now.
That Bradford show and things like it's definitely feels a bit more accessible. Need to stop podcasting on weekends, mate, and get myself out to a few more shows, don't I?
There you go. That's the problem. It's chicken and the egg in it, mate. The podcast and actually watching wrestling. But yeah, that's everything going on. If you head to one of those shows, let us know in the chat. But what's the other weekend plans, mate? A few beers tonight, and then more films on the sofa. I'll look forward to your reviews on Instagram stories, mate. Is that the plan Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, amazingly, I've only got 2 days left. I'm like, fuck, like, where's this week gone? Kind of, it's. I was sort of like sat there on Thursday morning, like, shit, I've only got like 2 actual work days off here. Like now it goes into that. So yeah, it's going to be beers with Matty tonight, and see what we end up watching, and just try to make the most of my last 2 days. Probably try and knock another 6 films in over the next 2 days. Catch up on the remainder of the Shibata list, and look forward to talking about that on the show on Sunday. Amazing. Because I've thoroughly enjoyed. Despite my negative AEW demeanour, the Shibata mixtape has definitely saved my wrestling week. That's
week. What it needed. Some more ops. That's what this pay-per-view needed. Get the lads out there. The ops never existed. Like ruthless aggression didn't exist, mate. Never happened, and you can't convince me it ever did. It's funny you mentioned it at the top, and I didn't want to mention it there, but like you reminded me of like an ex-girlfriend. You knew her. Like when we were going out, she went on holiday once, like for a week, and then she got back and she was like, "What have you done this week?" And I was like, "Oh, I booked the week off work, and she was like, what? You booked the week off work? What for? I was like, well, you were away. She was just like, she was so offended. And I just didn't think of it as I said it, that might have been bad. But like, yeah, I literally booked the week off work because I knew she was going on holiday, because it meant I could do whatever I wanted all week. So I completely know it, mate. And I'm pretty sure that year I played TEW, ate a lot of Twiglets, mate, and watched a lot of old wrestling and rap stuff on the telly, mate. So it was a great week like you. So I totally know where you're coming from. But that's pretty much every week here, unfortunately, for me. Sorry, mate. But I have been a bit under the weather this week, so I haven't been out too much. So maybe wander out and about tomorrow. I've only got 2.5 weeks left in Da Nang now, which has come very, very quickly. And then I'm off to Saigon, a little bit of Cambodia in the middle as well, before I'll obviously be back for a wedding. So I'll be on UK shores, actually, in a couple of months before I come back out here. So yeah, trying to make the most of it, get out the house a little bit. Went to cinema the other day, but I'll mention that on pre-show on Sunday, and just see all those things one last time, mate. Who knows when I might be back in this exact town, although I know I will be back in this exact country.
No, that's just it feels like is that the longest stint that you've done anywhere where you are now?
Yeah, definitely.
It feels like you've put a good shift in there, so I guess moving on to some different new pastures will be a exciting one, just to see 2 different places.
It's funny, when I first started the traveling, it was like a month somewhere sounded so long, and like now, because I've been like literally in this spot for like 8 months, like I'm into the last month, and I feel I'm leaving next week. It feels like I'm literally leaving. Like there's no point doing anything. Why should I even buy anything? I'm leaving in a month. Like it's weird time for you, but yeah, I never take it for granted. So I will be back. I'll be back in this. It's beautiful. But yeah, there we go. That's what's going on with me. Andy off to Rochdale versus Farnham United tomorrow, and yearly trip to Features. So yeah, he'll be there on Sunday. And he said, yeah, your weekend's like the last night of a lad's holiday. That's exactly what it is. So yeah, have a proper one tonight, mate. I'm sure it makes sense. But yeah, we will have Gareth on Sunday for the Shibata show. So yeah, that'll be around 7 o'clock. I think 6:30 pre-show, but I'll confirm that over the coming days. And then yeah, we'll be on. I think we'll be doing it with Tuesday for the Spotlight review. Just to put you on the spot. Probably.
Yeah, definitely Tuesday, because I'll be I'm in work Monday. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, fair enough.
Suppose
well, there you go.
Should see the family when they're back, shouldn't I?
Yeah, sorry, you blame me, mate. It's my fault. But yes, that'll be Tuesday. And again, as I mentioned earlier, if you've gotten this far, you must have enjoyed the audio. So yeah, if you want to hear the review as well, there is a welcome code, we'll call it that, an offer to join us over on the Patreon. And like I said, good time to do it as well. It will give you the Redemption Spotlight review, which will be Patreon exclusive on Tuesday, as well as all of our other stuff. Bash at the Beach 98, Bretro even, that comes out free on the Patreon. And obviously, yeah, we've got a few other things coming up. Got Ask GRAPPL coming up at the end of the month, and we're even bringing Dealer's Choice back soon as well. So loads of reasons, including the Shibata show on Sunday, to check out for us, mate. Have I missed any of the plugs? Stone Cold Crazy as well. Obviously, that was out a couple of weeks ago. Still very timely to give that a listen.
Yeah, 100%. That was a big important show in the career trajectory of Steve. So yeah, as we talked King of the Ring. So yeah, if you haven't listened yet, get yourself on board. We're still early in the process. I think that's month 4, isn't it, that we're up to at this point?
Yeah.
So yeah. Get in. You don't want to leave yourself a whole year of episodes to catch up on, like I've had to do with Benno and Hamlet. But mate, loving it, mate. Absolutely loving it. I'll blow some smoke and give you a plug on that one, because honestly, like, take me back to those times watching that TV week in, week out. But hearing you lot break it down is the best thing, closest thing to it. So yeah, loving everything.
I would say be careful what you wish for, because the show we've got coming out on Sunday is our No Way Out 1998 review. Fucking hell. It's so bad. Maybe we should stick to the TVs, but it's the Savio Vega one. If you know, you know, folks. And also, Handful of Bricks the news to me halfway through that it is actually one of the last times we'll talk Shawn Michaels on our timeline as well, because obviously he's not on the No Way Out show, and then on a couple of Raws, and then it's Goodbye Shawn over on our timeline too. So yeah, it's the month of that this month, mate, but we'll see him again. I say that if we ever get to 2002, maybe one day.
I might watch the video version of that one, so I can see the exact moment where you lose your smile.
The heart just goes like Ralph. Yeah, it does. It does. Well, that's going to be out as well on Sunday, so check that out. But yeah, outside of that, Simon, enjoy Scotland. Say in the chat that's what he's up to. But everybody else, enjoy whatever you're doing this weekend. Enjoy the pay-per-view. Probably watch it on Monday morning folks. I'm not sure you need to stay up on Sunday for this one, but listen to us on Tuesday and elsewhere. Have a great weekend. Thank you, live patrons. Thank you, live YouTube members. And as always, thank you to our Patreon Kings of the Mountain and Queens of the Mountain, Carl Laughlin, Eddie Sideburns, Chris Platt, Carl Gack, Sophie Hitchcock, Sam Mulvaney, Marty Ellis, and Dylan Shaw. We'll catch you again for the Patreon Spotlight review on Tuesday. Good night, all.
See ya. I'm going downstairs to see if